Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to the show, Dan Sits Down. Hope you guys are alright. Hope you're doing the best you can wherever you are, whatever your situation is. Don't forget, we are at war. Okay? We are at war, we are at war, we are at war. There's so much I want to talk about. Today I'm going to start with nature. It incorporates a piece of nature, a piece of history, a piece of hypno knowledge, and a piece of being human. We share our world with things that aren't human, our cage. It's important that we're able to identify them and take care of business. So. First thing I want to talk about is nature. Well, number one, we're at war. Look, the best thing we got going is an oak tree. Okay, these things. And if you look around, I mean, they're just dying. Look at it. That's warfare. Okay, that's warfare. Look, this tree's gonna die. That tree's gonna die. These trees are all gonna die. You can tell, and they all mossed up. Like, if you see that moss, try to get it off your tree immediately. We're custodians. We're supposed to be being able to climb the trees and tear the moss off, and we're supposed to be able to identify things that are unnatural in our world and things that ain't supposed to be here. Number one, and it's a lot of it's based on fear. You're afraid to climb the tree. You ain't got tough feet. And I want to talk about that too. Toughen up your feet. Toughen up your hands. Get some calluses. It's not about being a man, it's about being human. We're supposed to be a callus on our hands. You got a dog, feel the bottom of your dog's feet, they're rough, okay? The dog ain't got shoes. Imagine if you had to run somewhere, and you had shoes on, and then, something's chasing you, tracking you, like a dog, a pack of other monkeys with dogs, okay? They're chasing you, trying to find you. You're wearing shoes, man, they're gonna find you. They're gonna find you, okay? There's gonna, then even the tracker, footprints, blah, 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 all right? You learn how to walk through the woods, not break branches, not make noises. You can do that very effectively with no shoes on. You ain't supposed to have shoes. That's our anatomy. We ain't supposed to have shoes. We're supposed to be able to walk around and navigate this whole cage with no shoes. I call it a cage, our planet, it's our home. Okay, so we got to protect it. All right? Protect our home. That box you're living in, that's a compartmentalized cage you're living in within the whole home. We used to have trees that were huge. We'd live in the trees. We learned how to carve stairs right into the bark and just walk around the tree all the way up. Here we are, 200 feet up in the air. And then, like a woodpecker, carve out a little hole, using whatever we had, manpower, right? Our arms. Use a rock, carve out a hole over time. You go chip away at a tree every day, and it's gonna make you strong. And you'll get far enough in there where you can make a little, you'll be like a Keebler elf, okay? And that's kind of the idea, right? Those humans, the trees, it's we seem like we're giants right now compared to these trees now, but the trees we used to have, something we still do have some of them. So this goes back to the time zones. They're gonna keep some of it alive, but I mean overall, so if you look at the national parks with the giant trees, I'm not gonna say where they are, but basically, that's ancient technology. We used to live in those things. Those are so big, man. We could over time carve out steps and in the tree and climb right of it. Once it gets too big for us to just run around, climb, and now, this moss kills these trees, and the branches get weak, and you ain't gonna climb it. You're gonna climb it, it's gonna fall down, and then you're gonna get eaten by a pack of wolves. Okay, you ain't gonna thrive. Because when it comes down to it, man, what else are you gonna do? What else are you gonna do? Right now, we're just basically having a bunch of babies, and then our kids get harvested. The idea of how to avoid being harvested without being evil, and how do you stay alive and be righteous, and that's what Jesus was all about. It's you're supposed to be we're supposed to be adopting the character of Jesus. Don't do any harm. If you don't do any harm, you're gonna have a really tough life. because our lives used to be easy. I mean, I'm trying to, monkey man, climbing from the mango trees, grapefruits everywhere. Like, I mean, my neighbor, when we used to have a couple grapefruit trees. Where I grew, or I didn't grow up there, but I mean, we lived there for a few years in Pinellas Park, Florida, and there, in our backyard there was like a cul-de-sac, and on the outside of the neighbor's fence, in the cul-de-sac, kind of on the easement, was like a couple grapefruit trees. Right, that's right. They had another tree, whatever. You know, in Florida, yeah, it grows here naturally, and you can grow a tree. And once that tree hits like, 15, 20 years old, you start bearing a lot of fruit. You're like, dang, man, holy smokes. We used to have grapefruit fights. And we had so much of this shit. Like, we were just off like a couple trees, and you're talking about the neighborhood kids. Grapefruit fights. Okay? I remember one time I had thrown a chunk of grapefruit at my friend Derek, and like, he like looked at me like shocked. And like we're all looking around like, well, where'd the chunk of grapefruit go? Like, me and my older brother, we're like, what the fuck? And why does he look like that? And then he starts choking. And he choked up the grapefruit. Like, I mean, it was like a hole in one, man. I launched that right in his mouth because we're all laughing, having a good time. Then he's choking, man. He's on the back of his throat. It was awesome. I mean, it's just random probability, right? Like, I mean, we throw like a couple thousand chunks of grapefruit at each other for the next harvest, the week or whatever. We weren't eating them because, well, we were all drinking Pepsi and Coca-Cola, or eating whatever we had back then. I mean, we had it all. You want to talk about like peak analog, and if we were too young to harvest, and so I'm talking about 80s, but I mean, we're fucking legendary, you guys, because we're basically like all that stuff. Like, you look around and it's like, man, legendary. Okay, we're legendary, and the world needs our help. You need people who remember the analog and remember going to like an arcade, going bowling, using your mind to manipulate objects in 3 dimensions, right? It keeps it sharp. Hand-eye coordination is very important. You gotta take something out, you're gonna need to be able to do that. But anyway, like, once all this stuff dies, this is warfare. That moss is warfare. That moss is engineered to kill that damn thing. Okay, I mean, it's apparent. You used to have rolling oak, like just oak trees everywhere. Now this stuff's killing them. I mean, an oak tree will live for hundreds of years. I had stayed at this one guy's house. He was a snowbird, and I rented from him, and he had a dead oak tree, and I mean, it would take 3 men to, like, just with their arms spread to even like go around the whole tree, the trunk of this thing, like probably 5 or 6 actually. I mean, it was huge, man. It was huge, and it provided like a whole like a half an acre of shade. This tree was giant, and you could see it from like a mile away. That's and that was here in Valrico, Dover, Durant, Brandon area, where it all used to be, 20, 30 years ago. It was grapefruits. All grapefruits. Grapefruit grows everywhere. We had fruit, lots of fruit. And then we just decided we were going to cut it all down and then build houses that just stayed empty. So, that's where they run us like rats through a maze about the country. So we're like the next smart nut, because like maybe there's a demand for like, well, we do need some engineers to build this shit and that shit. So we're gonna get, like, smart people aren't gonna ask too many questions, and then like when they want to go travel the world, and they like they'll keep you, the AI, Gaia, greatest AI around, GAIA. They keep you in a certain location, or they fly you to a certain place, and then also, but at the same time you go, they're gonna like send like 60 other people there too. So you're like, oh yeah, like, hey, look at, oh, I'm from here and I'm from there, and everybody made it and got this great success story, and you're sitting at like some hotel on some like little mini island like in the fucking Pacific. I'm like, yeah, it's the American dream. This is all real. It's like, hell no, man. There 300 million people in our country. There's no way. And if you're a traveler, man, you know that, like, because I mean, you see these carny folk keep going from town to town, and you're like, what happened? I mean, I watched like. In the past year, I've probably seen like 4 or 5 fairs. In the past year, I've been to DC, Chicago, and Tampa. Okay, that's where I've been staying at in the past year. I stay in DC for like a few months. And then, ain't nobody fucking there. Ain't nobody fucking there. Okay, I promise you, man, ain't nobody there. It's a bunch of nonsense. I mean, I had gone there I had been there when it was like, it was '02. Before that, the last time I'd been there was '02. It was when that Boy Scout pissed on the fence and died. He pissed on some electric fence or something. Fucker died or something. Like, really, like, damn, dude. Just wasn't prepared. I don't know, you know. But, I don't know if he actually died, but I remember it being a big thing. So that's when I was in DC. I was in DC for that, that when that event occurred. And man, you were on like 295, 395, 195, like a Beltway, the Loop, and you fucking sat in traffic for like an hour and a half. This time when I went through there, man, it was a breeze, you know. And then you want to call it the pandemic and blah blah blah. Yeah, it's a convenient like backstory, but like that don't mean like tourism died. Like people ain't still trying to see the Capitol. There was a decent amount of people there, but mostly foreigners taking pictures. You know, like it wasn't packed with. When I had gone there, I mean, there were tons of people, tons of homeless people. Number one, tons and tons and tons of homeless people all over that city. So it wasn't like that this time around. Like you saw homeless people, but it wasn't like, you know, it wasn't like there were, you know, there was droves of them then, and there was a lot of people, man. I mean, you'd see a pack of like 40 Boy Scouts, you know, like, and you'd see like 3 packs on that. I mean, yeah, like, so yeah, that time when I went there, okay, but you would still see other people. So you'd see tours. There'd be tours of like with 30 people and a tour guide. You saw that all over the place. This time there wasn't, you know, there was nobody. So you got the pandemic. It's like, man. I got into a couple of VA hospitals too, man. I show up and it's a fucking ghost town. I'm like, well, isn't this a hospital? Like, don't we got a bunch of veterans? And as soon as I started saying that, because I got a lot of stories of veterans, man. Don't trust somebody if they tell you you're a veteran. They might just be lying to you, okay? Because I had a couple guys try to tell me and spin me, and then I started asking them the relevant questions, like, man, you can't tell me why the sky's blue, motherfucker? Yeah, you're a veteran, man. Fuck off. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, that's right. So, well, depending on where you served, what your AIT was, you should know certain things. And some of them are well versed, but they ain't veterans. They killed a veteran and freaking, you know, like took their identity. So most veterans are like, man, I'm going down to the VA. I'm afraid I'm not gonna come out. You know, like most people go to the hospital. They're like that, you know, because the hospitals are, you know, you go to the hospital with a freaking hangnail and they wind up amputating your foot. I mean, why'd you go with a hangnail anyway? But still. You know, sometimes exaggerate to get my point across, guys, okay? So don't always trust somebody because they say they're a veteran, all right? Don't always trust that. That's just, you know, that's another tactic that people use. Oh, you're a homeless veteran, blah, 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 you know, where'd you serve? And like, man, like, first thing I do is I size up what age their outward projection is, you know? So, for example, they say in the Marine Corps, and, let's see, now they'd be a little bit older. You know, I would ask, well, where'd you serve? Where'd you go? Because I know my history, man. I know where the Marine Corps has been. All right? I know where they've been throughout like 3 or 4 decades. So if you're going to be like claim to be this age and you served, you better be able to tell me the geographical location of where you were. All right? And I'm going to ask you, well, where'd you lay over? And you better know that fucking city where that base is. Like, well, you went to, I mean, come on, man. Come on. You didn't have a layover somewhere? How'd you get there? Don't you remember being on the plane and going with all your boys? Like, well, a lot of them are on bullshit, man. They're not fucking veterans. They're liars. So there's ways to tell if somebody's lying to you about being a veteran. And a lot of that's just knowing your history. Knowing the storyline. If you know the storyline, then you can ask some relevant questions and then determine whether they're an actual veteran or just some fucking, you know, hypno fuck that's just trying to get over on you, gain your trust. So that's the web they weave, you know. Yeah, you got to know your literature. All right, basically know your literature. And that's what they do, like our jailers, right? They hypnotize these groups of humans. I mean, like the look-alike demon. So when you see the real demon, you're like, oh, he's just a fucking, you know, he's just an old Republican and he's ignorant, blah, blah, blah. Because that's what we expect. Like, we expect some 80-year-old, we know he's going to still vote red, But he's like this, appearing to be an 80-year-old man, but he's got all his teeth somehow. Don't fucking ask me how that's how possible. Some of this motherfucker got all his teeth and he's 80. Yeah, okay. Like, all right, so you're an 80-year-old Republican. We expect you to basically be like, oh, you're ignorant, kill darky, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, all that shit's like kind of like, and then we'll look when that guy says stupid shit, or he tries you with his hypno shit, or he tries you to like get inside your head or piss you off, because then it's easier to make you look crazy and discredit you. And that's what they'll do. And so they hypnotize these people to like match our stereotypical perception of what they should be. And that's all nonsense, guys. You gotta fight that shit. You gotta fight it, man. That guy's still human, and he's been hypnotized for the past 50 years. I mean, I was sitting next to some 80-year-old man, and like, it's like, dude, it's just Pelosi. You don't have to like scream at the top of your lungs at the fucking TV, calling her, see you next Tuesday, and blah blah blah, all this other nonsense. Then you start asking them fucking questions, and it's like, yeah, okay, well, yeah, okay, well, yeah, okay, well, yeah, okay. So that guy's probably human, but he's been conditioned to just see red the second he sees blue. I mean, come on, like, cut that guy a little slack. You gotta slowly bring him up. You gotta slowly bring the people up, man. Okay, I don't care what side of the aisle you think you're on. If you're a human, and you're with us. Okay, no ifs, ands, or buts. We can fix you. I can heal you. Okay, I can unhypnotize you. Try not to look in my eyes, right? Not for long, okay? So they make us think that this behavior is normal. So then when the real Beelzebub guy fucking with big old fucking eyes comes at you, and it's hard to tell, if you share the same eye color, it'd be a little bit hard to tell, but you can always typically tell. So, like, and if you, like, don't wear your glasses, they get mad and shit like that. It's like, why the fuck are you mad? I'm not wearing my glasses. So it's like intensifying the wireless signal that they're, So, hey. The technology's there, man. Technology's there. I can boost my signal with optics, especially if it's freaking based on light. So, like, you got to be pretty naive if you think that human beings can make these same apparatuses mechanically, but you don't think you can have it molecularly. You can't have that same apparatus on a much smaller scale already built into you, okay? Like, that's just a no-brainer. Hate to tell you, but if we can create a Bluetooth signal and I can control a drone wirelessly and fly it in between all these trees, man, like, you're telling me that thing's more advanced than what's inside my head? All those billions of neurons? For all you know, like, one little pack of neurons the size of my fingernail is like that's that Wi-Fi antenna. Or Wi-Fi, like, cubed, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, whatever data transfer protocol you want to use. So that's, I mean, and that's all that is. You got wireless, BGN, blah 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 blah, and that's the same thing. That, like, you intensify the wave, do different wavelengths. So for all you know, your hair is the antenna. I mean, that's what you join the army, they cut off all your hair. You're only allowed to have so much. So, like, we got to be able to differentiate and identify. Those things are important. Because there's look-alike demons that's going to exhibit the traits that they're going to be humans that have been hypnotized their whole lives to think a certain way, and then exhibit the traits that the demons do. The hypno fucks, the Beelzebubs. So that way they can blend in, and they can hide. They can hide among us, walk amongst us. People will just, like, chalk it up to some stereotype that they've been conditioned to believe about that person. It's like, man, we ain't so different. Red versus blue ain't that different, where that guy that believes in red is fucking yelling, screaming at the box at the top of his lungs. And it's like, man, you're like, I don't see you going and fucking, going out there and, like, canvassing for the red team. I don't see you breaking off $1,000 a year out of your pension to fucking help the red team. So what the fuck are you sitting here squawking at this box for, man? Let's go outside and fix the tractor, man. What the fuck? Come on, remember nature? There's work to be had. Let's do it. Son of a gun. So, yeah, alright, so nature too, right? That's part of being human, right? So I cover the nature. Let's talk about mosquitoes. Yeah, the mosquito come at me the other day. It had stripes. It didn't have stripes. Well, I'm like, no, I seen other mosquitoes, they got fur. This time, this mosquito had no fur. If it ain't got fur, I don't trust it. Sorry. You better have some fur. Maybe those are your antennas, but I used to remember mosquitoes having fur. Now I got this sleek-ass mosquito coming at me, and I'm like, man, what the fuck are you? And it knew exactly where, and it goes right on my jeans to bite me. And the second I thought that too, I'm like, man, how the fuck does that thing know that I'm even, like, and we'll get down to that. But, like, you're telling me, like, I got this big giant brain and, like, fucking massive compared to that thing, man, massive. Like, for all I know, that thing's got, like, no nervous system. What's the deal here, man? How do you fly up and know exactly where to land on me? You're landing on my gene, and as soon as I thought that, it let off my leg. It starts flying around in my truck, my car, my sport van. I got a sport van. So I don't have a door to open this way, but it's a, whatever, it's not an SUV, but it's a sport van, right? So, flying around my sport van, and starts like trying to bite the bags and my gear and shit, and I'm like, oh come on, man. And it circles back. So this thing's got like stripes on it. Ain't got no fur. It ain't got that like fur around its like neck, like they used to. And maybe it's just this type of mosquito or the strain, right? Sorry. Look. So this thing, like, it's taking a sample, okay? Like, so you want to believe in creation, and you want to believe there's a God, and then God created this mosquito just to irritate you? No. That thing serves a mechanical function in this world. And that mechanical function in this world is to get a sample from you. Well, what's in your blood, man? And then it's going to go fly off and, I don't know, get eaten by like a bird or something, or a bat that's going to radar the thing to like a certain tree that, we look at a tree and we see a tree, but, I mean, molecularly speaking, the hardware could be built in all around us, and we wouldn't know otherwise if we didn't study it, which we do. So like that's a mosquito. It's taking a sample. It's taking a sample, and it's gonna go snitch on you, basically. Like, yeah, he's been eating this. He's got this. I mean, just that one little drop of blood. I mean, we can do the same thing, but they got to take like freaking, like 3 or 4 vials to test all your, so we're not that advanced. So if that shows you the scale, it's the AI has our creator, our jailers. And remember, like, there's factions, okay? I haven't, like, mapped it all out, but there's definitely factions. And when you talk to somebody, wirelessly even, you can tell. You can tell, like, all right, that's not the same being. So what's going on here, right? So like, you get stung by a bee, you're getting an update. You're getting an update. Or they're putting, update, like a software patch, okay? And then like 2 days later, you're gonna get bit by a mosquito, and it's gonna take a sample. There you go. Makes sense to me, man. Like, hey, if I was an upper echelon being with the brain the size of a planet, and I had a bunch of humans in a petri dish, and my job to study you guys, like, oh, all right, yeah, let's use what's available to me, and just not think of anything. Oh, just like how. Like we used to have, we didn't think anything about, like, testing animals, testing our products on animals to make sure they were safe for humans. Which, like, when you're going to sit there and, like, oh, I'm going to make a new makeup, and then, but I'm going to, like, just put droppers of this shit in rabbits' eyes, like, see how, I mean, and I don't trust nothing with all black eyes, man, fuck that. They ain't got all black eyes, dude, hell no, man, like, where's your eyeball? Like, what, I mean, I look at my cat, I look at my snake, thing's got eyeballs, like, hey, anything with all black eyes? Hell no, man, where did you come from? Like, what are you? Look at me all Beelzebub, I will wreck you. How the fuck is you got all black eyes? You got all pupil. I gotta take extreme substances to get all black eyes, and then even then, you can still see the blue. I mean, it'll look pretty, but I mean, with big old eyes, right? Yeah. But when you're just all black, like, what the fuck? Hell no, man. Get the. Like a damn squirrel comes looking at me, and I'm like, man, got me fucked up. Like, all black eyes. That's we hunt. Yeah, eat those fucking things. So, and they got a hell of a memory too. And I'm like thinking, scratch my head, like, all right, dude. Looking at this squirrel, I'm like, look at the size of your head. Down here, like, depending on where you're at, I mean, we're on a college campus. I went to school at Tarpon Springs. And we used to have these squirrels on campus, and I mean, they'd be big old suckers. Man, 'cause people be feeding them and shit, and I guess smart, intelligence, whatever. Get inside trash, eat the food. Students be feeding them. So they'd be big old fat squirrels, and then you come out some shit like out to nature and you see all these little scraggle squirrels, like, oh man, I'm fucking skinny, holy shit, what? It ain't no baby squirrel, it's like a full grown, but it's a scraggle squirrel, it's like the runt of the pack or whatever. I mean, but anyway, the other thing comes looking at me with all black eyes, I'm like, man, like I get, eat those fucking things then, you want to hunt that thing. Hunt things with all black eyes. If it's got eyes like us, don't kill it, okay? Just saying. If it's got all black eyes, yeah, go hunt that fuck. They ain't working. All black eyes. Come on. So the damn squirrel's got, so the squirrel's got like a brain, like, whatever, the size of an almond, okay? But somehow, some way, it's gonna bury like 3,000 nuts all along wherever. When it needs food and needs fuel, it's gonna just automatically know where to go, and it's gonna dig up its food that it remembers where it put it. I mean, I would be hard pressed to do that, and I've got a brain the size of like whatever 3 or 4 grapefruits or something, or like something like. How the fuck you got a better memory than me, and you got like a fucking almond brain? Like, it don't make no sense to me. So, to me, I look at that squirrel and I'm like, man, you're being controlled by something else that knows where the fuck that nut is because it's got infinite memory. Them squirrels already Beelzebub, okay? They're Beelzebub. It's got all black eyes. Like, what more you need to know? Kill that fucking. You want to go hunting? Get him, boys. I don't care how cute it looks. I mean, you got all black eyes. I do not give a shit. Right? I've had very bad experiences with everybody with all black eyes. Humans included. They come at me like that, dude. It's fucking, like, what the fuck are you doing? What do you think you're doing? What are you trying to do right now? And then suddenly they chill out, and it's like, yeah, what just happened to you, man? Do I gotta call you an ambulance? Yeah. Ask them that, man. They'll fuck off real quick. Do you need an ambulance? Are you okay? Oh, no. Yeah, you put them in the MRI machine. What's up, man? Suck that motherfucker right out of your head. Put him in a particle containment unit. That's what it's about, right? So then we got these other things too that are, it's hard to tell, right? It's like a peacock in nature. Yeah, you're gonna spread your feathers and look all big and bad, but I'll just run right through you. I mean, I'll wreck you, bird. Like, don't come at me like that. Spread out your fucking hypno fucking feathers. Like, get the fuck out of here. I mean, come on, look at that thing. Those are hypno feathers, man. That peacock. Before we had all this like digital shit and all the signal and how you can tap into the signal and it can be manipulated, like you can hypnotize somebody really quick, like doing shit with that's your main input, right? Your main input into your brain is your eyeballs. You see all kinds of shit around you. This is highly advanced technology, man. I mean, you've got the optic nerve, which is just basically, I mean, your brain is basically like, I mean, it's a lot of it's centered around the optic nerves going in. Like, that's a big chunk, okay? Huge chunk. So like you got your I mean, your skin, you get a lot of sensory input too. I mean, you're talking billions of sensors all over you. Like some little tiny fly like lands on one hair and you're scratching or like, what the fuck's that? Okay, so that's but again, all the nerve, like so your skin, your eyes, your ears, so you combine all that shit together and you can be rocked to sleep pretty easy. You put it into catatony. So like, yeah, then you're getting an update too. You don't want to sit there and stare at the squirrel's eyes for like 2 minutes and it's like looking back at you. You're like, well, what the fuck, dude? Like, what are you looking at, motherfucker? Like sitting there thinking you're gonna give it a nut or chase it, but it's like, man, that thing's, But anyway, like so it seems to me that there's like they're tapped into some type of whatever. Some people you might as well call it the Akashics, right? Like, I heard that before. Like, oh yeah, the Akashics. Yeah, he's tapped into it. Like, fucking thing knows where all the nuts are buried somehow. And like, we are so like we're like you wouldn't even be able to tell if that was a different squirrel. Like, it's like, all right, so that squirrel's digging up that nut, but how do I know that squirrel even buried it? You know, they all kind of like look safe. So it's like, you know, do some experiments, man. Like, how come nobody's done any experiments? Like, we don't even attempt to experiment in this manner, because it's so like we're taught that it's just outlandish and it's crazy, right? Like, there's no possible way. And someone would call you crazy, they would like discredit some scientist that actually said it. So hold on, wait a second, man. My hypothesis as a scientist is that these squirrels are all tapped into some type of signal that we can't see, and they have groupthink somehow. Just like birds too, man. Like, their reaction time is just it's flawless. When they all leave at the same time just because one leaves, it's like, no, that one is like, you know, the Wi-Fi signal, that's the router. That one bird is the router, you know, somehow, and it tells all the other birds to get out, you know. I mean, you can identify that one, kill that one, and then the next thing you know, like, the birds are all like looking around like, well, what the fuck just happened? Where are we? Okay, has anybody tried that one? Anybody done that experiment? Okay. 2 packs of monkeys. Put 2 packs of monkeys in a plant. Just test them out. That gives us a good idea what we're all about. So let's tag these squirrels, and let's go see if one squirrel buries it, and then like a different squirrel digs it up. See if that happens. Videotape, film it, analogously record the world around you. You know, just fucking, you know, it's hard to manipulate film. Okay, it's hard to analogously project the information, not fucking digitally. Unfortunately, that's where we're in now. Like, it's hard to even get. You know, I mean, I still got VHS tapes. So, yeah. I mean, yeah, like, then once, like, Technicolor came out, and it's just all this, but, you know, like, you used to have a magnetic strip, man. Shit's on the magnet. That's a magnetic strip, and the data's stored there analogously. So now we just got like this little chip, and like, I mean, they come out with these new chips like, oh, here's your capacity. Like, I mean, I'm putting in like a 1 terabyte chip or something like that in my phone, but for all I know, the memory's just built in. And now that I got this chip, it's like, okay, I'm unlocking. You're paying to license the hardware that's actually already in your phone. How would you know? How would you know? Like, when you look at a little SD card, I mean, you chew on it, fucking, like, you know, take it apart, like, how the fuck terabyte fit in there, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like, and it's just on these little plastic chips. So, for all you know, that data is already there, man. You're recording and putting it right into the cloud. Call it the cloud, the Akashics, or whatever the hell paradigm you subscribe to. Not really important to me. I don't debate semantics. I don't care. We're all thinking the same thing. I promise you guys that. Like, for the most part, we're thinking the same thing. So you put that SD card in there, and then suddenly it's like, oh, now I got whatever, like 500 extra gigabytes. It's like, well, that could have just been built in your phone already. Or maybe your phone just don't do anything, and the functionality, it just kind of just, you know, that shit's already all in the cloud anyway, and then the AI gives you, all right, here you go. Here, you get this much storage on the server. All right. And they're kind of warming us up to that idea with the, you know, the decentralized hardware. So essentially now, like, I could do like an EC2 on an AWS, and get like you know, like a 1080 Ti in there, and then I could just have that handle all the computations of my Call of Duty game, and then I just stream. So like, the actual computer's 500 miles away, and then I'm just streaming the output, you know, the screen output. So yeah, there might be a little bit of lag, but if we got better, you know, like better cable fiber optics, you know, I went Frontier or whatever the fuck, and it's a fiber to the node, then suddenly, you know, it's really not that important to me. I don't even notice it. It's like, all right, you got 200 more milliseconds, but my reaction time more than compensates. I'm just a way better player, blah, 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 right? So all the actual hardware is in the cloud. Now all you got is an interfacing unit, right? That's all you got. You just got the controller and the screen, and that's it. That's all you got. And you can do that. And a lot of people do, because it's like, oh, I don't want to carry around all this big bulky hardware. But then it's like, oh, it's smaller now. It's smaller now. It's smaller now. And it's like, not necessarily. You could just be being relegated to a screen, an output device, and an input device. That's all you get. You don't get the actual hardware no more. like, I mean, it's just like, just the concept alone should make you ask questions about your world. Like, holy shit, you know, like, maybe the functionality is not actually built into my phone at all. And it's just simply, you know, make you think you're doing the inputs, but like, I mean, like, it's reasonable to think that way. I mean, I think going forward, I think right now we're at our peak as far as like, I mean, like if I do, I mean, but then again, it could just trick you too. Like, oh, they'll generate some heat, burn the battery, generate some heat. Cause like, I'll be like doing something on my phone, and then like, you know, yeah, it's like a hardcore calculation where like I'm rendering video, right? Like output the video, render the video in like a different format, MPEG format. I don't want AVI. I want MPEG 3 or 4 or whatever. So when I output the video and I have a piece of software that takes the piece of video that I filmed and then it like re-renders it in a different file format, different compression. That's what those are. File formats are compression. So basically you've got all this data and then it's compressed and then it's decompressed based on a type of like, kind of like an algorithm function. It says, okay, when you've got data stored in this manner, represented by these zero, basically it's all zero. They tell us it's zeros and one binary, and it'll get a little bit more like you can do, you can use the same like transistors. Basically they tell us there's transistors, little like tiny transistors inscribed on a silicone chip that hold the charge that represents a 0 and 1. They're either on or they're off. Now, if I want to like zoom out and look at that group of transistors, and if I see a pattern there that says like, okay, every fifth one, like you can overlay that. Now, every fifth one is off no matter what. And if that's true, it's gonna be then you're gonna look at every third one to see every third one, and that's every third one is always gonna just be a 0, and it's gonna like. So it's like a decompression algorithm. It's gonna say, hey, you got all this data in multiple layers, but it's all just on one layer. Or like one platform or whatever, and then it's able to like kind of it's manifold. Okay, it's manifold. It's manifold data representation. That's basically, you know, that's the easiest way I can explain it. It's manifold. So then it like decompresses, and then but anyway, when I do a thing on my phone where I change like the compression algorithm, and then it has to be like the data has to be reformatted like into the or when it's compressed, and then the decompression algorithm is like, oh, it's this type, and then it takes it and outputs the video. And then you have like what's called FLAC, you know, well, if you're doing music, you know, fully lossless audio codec, like a big giant file, best sound error, you know, you don't get any better than that except for a record, which are just bumps, you know, go figure. So like you can't beat the record somehow, but like it's like, all right, what the fuck? I'm scratching my head. Like, all right, so analog is actually way better quality. So I'm saying, man, look, you know, watch like Zorbo or something like that, man. Just look at it I mean, holy shit. Like, refresh rate, fucking, the film. We hit the peak of analog, and it blows a lot of shit we got today out of the water, believe it or not. And it was very important, and then we hit our peak, and then, like, some point, someone smart got either, like, greedy, or got Beelzebub, or got tricked, and then we, like, threw it all away, and we, and now we're like fucking at the mercy of this like AI cloud, the swarm. So if you could picture that, so this dang peacock that you run into in nature, like you're about to fucking wreck it, because it's like, hey man, peacock man, like you ain't gonna buffalo me off of this. Like I'm gonna drink that puddle. Spreads out its wings, closes them, spreads them, closes it halfway, quarter way, and something like hypnotized, and then you fucking spin off. All right, like that thing somehow, like there's no way that thing's fucking like actively doing that, man. Like not you know, like it's processing and it's being controlled from the cloud, the swarm. All right. To do those functions. That's not like some built-in defense mechanism. Like it's a specifically curated message for you All right, because the jailers can see you, or the AI, the AI sees you, and you're go kill this peacock, and next thing you know, you're being hypnotized to go back to your village and tell them about some food you found somewhere else, not near the area you guys are supposed to, not supposed to be at, because you start crossing time zones, and suddenly, like, you come out of the fucking forest, and you're like wearing a fucking loincloth, and you got a spear, and you walk into fucking Shenzhen, and you're like, what the fuck? All right. So yeah, now going to that, like I mean, yeah. Next thing you know, like, all right, but it works both ways too. Like somebody in Shenzhen could potentially, like, man, imagine like Shang Tsung, right? You're gonna get Shang Tsunged. So if I went to a different time zone, and I had my, this, ting, 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 right? Okay, I'm gonna take that into a different time zone. And I'm gonna like walk out, even though maybe the 5G won't get there, but whatever, or maybe it'll be there, and then you got Ziggy, right? You're like, fuck, oh, I got all this info too. Like, check it out. So you're gonna go into a different time zone, maybe like Shanghai. You're Shang Tsung now, man. You're going to Shanghai 500 years ago, man. Like you roll up in there and you got you got your phone. It's like, oh, they're gonna fucking be like this thing. I'm some fucking demon anyway. Like let me build a piece of wood. Like take a piece of wood and make a little box, and then put my phone inside of it, or something like that. Make it look like some type of ancient scary artifact or some fucking whatever. And then you go kill a couple people and you film it, and you film that person. And then next thing you know, man, you're going to run that town and that village. You're going to be like, I have their soul in this box. Like, here, you want to see? Here. And you just go, like, load the fucking file and hit play. And these people 500 years ago, you're talking about adults with pretty much the equivalent of a third grade American education. That's how... Well, what else? You don't know how to fucking read or write. So barely even a third grade. You might know some shit about nature, farming, things like that. Even like I wouldn't know, or but at the same time, you're gonna be like a god to them. And that's like you can see that in our history. You can see that if you read enough historical accounts, analogous historical accounts, primary sources, you will certainly see things like that. And it's like just unexplained shit, like, oh, and then this guy came along, but it's like he's just a man. He is just a man, but he's got like a very strong mind. He's very educated. He escaped his time zone, and now he's gonna go pretend to be a god somewhere else. Story of Shang Tsung. Some guy with a fucking cell phone escaped his time zone. All right. I got your soul. Your husband's soul is in the box now, and if you better want him to come out, you better listen to me, and maybe I won't keep him for eternity. You can tell those people anything. I mean, just saying. So, yeah, look into the magic ball. You'll see it, right? Southeast, man, that stuff happens. So, like, try to go to an area you're not authorized to be. Try to have an object you ain't authorized to have. No matter how smart you are, you're going to try to go study this, and then you're going to be like, nope. Hell no. And then every little thing's gonna get in your way. You ain't becoming a surgeon, man. Sorry. Nope. Because you ain't studying these, different types of waves in the brain. We're not gonna let you study that. Nope. Even though you're smart enough to and you try to, you're not gonna become a brain surgeon. Sorry. Just not gonna happen. Because then next thing you know, you're cutting out parts of the brain for people that are fucking like the fucking Wi-Fi antenna. Because then you got know too much, right? And they were doing brain surgery in ancient Greece. They knew how to relieve pressure, shit like that. I mean, yeah. They removed tumors in ancient Greece. Yeah. Well, they knew how to make good alcohol, man. Like strong alcohol. Wash your hands in the wine, or you'd survive. Iodine. Smugglers too. Okay, yeah, I'm going to put on the clothes and I'm going to go to a different time zone and I'm going to smuggle some shit in. Because you got to be immune to, like, the signals. Or you got to be, like, really, like, heavily abused. Or abused with heaviness. How about that? Yeah. I'm Daniel Lee, by the way. Okay? Alright. So, alright, so let's go into, like, what, today's society. I claim my hypothesis is that there's a bunch of people that get harvested at a time interval. I haven't quite figured out what the time interval is. And it's every 12 years, and it's in different locations. So, uh, and I'll tell you right now, like, you got our governments. There's people in our government, like gangsters or good people too. Different factions. We got our own factions too that know this shit, man. Um, that's why they'll straight call our bluff. Like the next round of Chinese are gonna have like a lot more advanced technology, and they're gonna come at us like, it's time for war. Here you go. We're buying their old shit. Trust me, they're way ahead of us. We're told that they're not, but I mean, come on, they're already on digital currency. What happened here? Don't make much sense. Why are their cities like way better than ours? Like, it don't make no sense. Now they ain't got no population because they got harvested. They hit their peak with the technology, and then they got harvested. But now they're rebuilding. They didn't, so that's why, like, the great floods will come. Okay. When shit gets out of hand here, when it's like, holy shit, man, these guys fucking, that's like, all right, picture you're in prison, and like, all right, like, here comes the riot, but this time around the riot is like, man, we're like taping books to ourselves and freaking like, we're ready to roll, man. We got our boots on, we're strapped, we fabricated weapons out of the world, the world we're stuck in, and we're taping books to ourselves, we're tying them to ourselves, and we're putting batteries in socks, potatoes, whatever. Come on. Not necessarily trying to break out, we're just sick of the bullshit. Well, all right, let them kill each other then. We'll come back later. Kind of same thing. Yeah, I don't want to mention too many movies, but there's a movie about that too. It's got a guy I like in it. I can't remember his name, but yeah, that's like the tail end of his. For good reason, right? Like, that's what I'm saying, man. I like to make those cultural references. Like, you're here with us today, man. I should be able to make a rep. You should be like, oh yeah, I like that movie. Yeah, exactly, man. So we immediately know what we're talking about. You immediately have context, and you immediately understand the complex point I'm trying to articulate, rather than have a 10-hour lecture. Be like, I can just make like one a reference to a cultural thing that's already been pre-established. Why you have to do your duty and pay attention and watch all that shit, okay? Do your duty and watch all that shit so I can make a joke and you understand it at least. So we're in a prison, and we start fabricating things to, you hit a level of advancedness. Now you got like one group of humans know this. They've already been in space travel. Like they're already up there. They're already up there in orbit. Call it an orbit. I don't. Tell you right now, end of time. Okay, that's our cohesiveness. Is that, like, you gotta believe that we're at the end of time. Like, at the very least, we're at the end of time. Let's just assume that's why we're always at war and we're being kept in a jail, because we hit the end of time, and we have these things that oversee us that want to be immortal, and they need to harvest us. And then it becomes like, well, they essentially, to us, they were like, if you can subscribe to, like, you're kind of hypnotized into believing you're perishable, I think, like, oh, you have to eat this and have to eat that, and it's like, man, like, there's people that live on just peanut butter alone. I know one. Ask my mother. Looks in there, right out of the jar, so I do it too now. So, but whatever, we eat some bread with it, eat certain things, but then to avoid getting harvested, we got to destroy ourselves too. That's why, right here, that's what this is all about. Okay, like 50, 60 years ago, 4 out of 5 doctors recommended smoking. Why do you think that is? It wasn't because the tobacco industry wanted to make money, blah, 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 blah. No. Okay. So if you smoke, you ain't gonna get harvested. They don't want no fucking, You got some type of sickness? Nope. So that's vaccines, things like that. All right? That's the point of that shit, you guys. but then it starts working against us because then they figured that out, and then, because you're a guy like me blabbing, but at the same time, it's like, man, what the fuck you want me to do? Okay, what do you want me to do? I gotta tell people, and not everybody can actually say this shit outright. And it's funny because, like, I'll say it to, like, I'll say it to people, because I encounter a lot of people, like, I live on the streets, right? So I fuck with all the homeless people. And there's people just like me, like, for some reason, just life has just beat them down. It's like, what the fuck's going on, And I tell them, we all got similar stories, except for the hypno demons that are walking around victimizing us. Them, when I try to say shit like this to them, dude, they immediately, like, belligerent, start yelling, screaming, Like, it's like, all right, so for whatever reason, you're not able to, like, you don't want me saying this, and you don't want other people hearing it. In other words, so if I'm around, like, a group of people and I start saying something that's going to, like, allude to, what's going on, immediately someone gets bezo-bubbed and starts just screaming and fucking yelling, or they'll pick up, and if they can't get inside your head and fuck with you, man, they'll pick a fight with somebody else to distract everybody. Or something will happen so those people won't be able to hear what the rest of you are trying to say. And most people aren't even, like, a lot of things will happen where most people can't even, like, say what I say. You'll have a hard time doing it. But I can, for some reason. I've been heavily abused. I'm just sick of it. It's like, fuck you at this point, right? So, I can pretty much explain, but then I got, like, at the point where it's like, okay, I got to operate under the assumption that, we mounted our resistance, and we put the work in, and I'm not going to undo all that just by blabbing my mouth. Okay, so, like, we're going to take it slow, and we're going to pepper it in. Okay, we're going to pepper it in. And the way I can pepper it in for everybody is by, what makes it really easy is doing movie references. The easiest way is just meet you in person and fucking look in my eyes and just transfer it to you, Right? Because my name's Daniel, right? So I'm a Daniel. I'm Daniel Lee. I'm Daniel Lee. I'm gonna heal you. I'm gonna unlock your mind, alright? I'm gonna unhypnotize you really quick. And you ain't gonna like what the truth is, but you'd be better off for it. The important thing is what we do is we basically maintain plausible deniability. And we're at the point now where we can maintain plausible deniability, but basically everything's going to be a sick joke. It's going to be a sick fucking joke, man. And that's like pretty much the only way it can be done. I'm able to do it explicitly yet subtly with PD. So as long as that's maintained, we'll be all right. And I can share. I can only share so much at once. And if you're not authorized, like, you're probably never going to come across one of my videos. Okay. I can't explain that except for factions. All right. Like there used to be, we used to be so advanced on this planet. There was a tether to that fucking moon. There was a tether to the moon. Alright? Yeah. Tether. It used to be tethered. Like an umbilical cord. Whether it was good or bad, or whether we could go through it and then fucking fight the war, and go up there and give us, give them the business and give us a fighting chance down here. And see, now that like we're in jail, like our jailers, our COs, they take a look at us and be like, oh yeah, they're doing their job. Yeah, they're burning the oil. That's what they're supposed to be doing. That's their only hope, is to have that oil and the lead. They're making all the bullets, and we're getting their oxygen. It's like oxygen's already in there, man. Like, it's a self-enclosed unit. Like, I'm pretty sure a bullet will fire underwater. It's a chemical reaction with like solid oxygen. Is that, or the oxygen's binded to? It's like a chemical reaction. Like there's that oxygen in there somehow that it gets released from one, like in the powder. I could understand if I looked at the documentation. That's the thing about me. Like, I studied everything. I can't just like recite shit, but I do not have that kind of memory. So when I see this fucking squirrel, I'm like, how the fuck do you know where they buried that nut? You got, like, if I had a home that was, like huge. Like, I know I gotta put my food in like labeled boxes in the cabinet or something, right? Like, I mean, or whatever. Like, but this thing like remembers like all the little, it's like, I don't know about all that. So, like, we're in trouble. We're on our last throws here, and because my feeling is like the Chinese already hit this most advanced as we've seen in a long time, and now what's going to come out for Americans to kind of take us down are going to be the drones. All right, like they're gonna spin some story. Like, well, first they're going to reorganize our whole society, right? Like, they harvested, and now they're going to guide us like rats through a maze to certain places. Like, I went all over the country, man. Like, you can tell by the interstate system, like, who knows what and why. So through the pandemic, we developed our infrastructure in certain states and then just left other states completely fucking untouched. That don't make no sense to me. Y'all got the funds. You got the money. We printed it, man. We printed 18 trillion fucking dollars. How come one state I went through, they ain't got no, I mean, it looks like it's fucking like 1970. You got no on-ramps. And then I look at other places and it's like, man, you got fucking huge developed infrastructure. What the hell, what's going on here? What is that? Right? How's that work? What, they didn't, their congressperson didn't bring enough bacon home or whatever they call it, like, bread and bacon, or guns and or circus and bread, or like they're all too involved in the circus. They didn't bring no bread and bacon home for their people. We like where's all the development? I mean, where I'm at here in the Tampa Bay area, I mean, you saw like hundreds of billion. Well, man, everybody got a new on-ramp. Let's just put it that way. Everybody got a new on-ramp, and everybody got an extra lane down here. And my car drives itself here. Or don't drive my car does not drive itself everywhere in the country. It drives itself here. How do you explain that? How do you explain that? So, like, is this, like geographical assignation, under the political construct, like it just got, X amount of infrastructure, and then you just said fuck you to all the other people? I don't know about that. Go out to a place like Indiana, man. Like, you'd be shocked when you see all the windmills. You'd be shocked. You drive through miles and miles and miles of just hundreds of these giant fucking windmills, and they're all spinning, man. Yeah, that's the Midwest. There's wind. Then you go right next door to Illinois, and there's not a fucking windmill in the whole fucking state. Like, okay, how does that work? I mean, I can kind of tell you where the Army's going to come out from. Yeah. Right out of fucking Gary, man. It's gonna come out of Gary. Alright. And we got fortresses. The Chicago's like a fortress. And basically what that's all about, like, you see our big skyscrapers there, man, they go pretty deep. And that's always sinking, by the way. Always sinking. That city is sinking into the ground. Because you'll go walk along and then you just see like this building, and then but the only way to get into it is like go downstairs like 8 feet. But you could see a picture of that building from 100 years ago, and it's at street level. So, and what's that's all about? Because essentially, somebody studied history and said, "Man, we better get our shit together because this is coming." And it's like a giant pinball machine. Okay, because I'll tell you right now, man, them gods are up there playing golf with our planet. They're gonna chuck a rock up at a huge hunk of ice. Alright? They're gonna chuck a rock, create like some glacier. It's gonna come down the mountain ridge, ding, 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 ding. But this time, it's gonna hit a bunch of skyscrapers once it gets past like the Great Lakes region. And that's what we're told the Great Lakes are. Those are glaciers that have melted. And the reason why we have the best soil in the Midwest is because those glaciers basically scrape off all the topsoil, and then they deposit in the Midwest. That's what we're taught anyway. So, well, we're ready for them this time. So they're not going to fuck around and they're going to do something else. That's the history, right? It's real history, our real history. Yeah, yeah. There's secret societies, man. They know all this shit, and their secret societies are like, they're like, well, fuck it, man. We don't care. We're happy running. We're happy being the jailhouse gang or whatever. You know, we run shit in the jail. We know we're all in a cage, and we don't care because life is good for us, and we're basically paid off to keep everybody down. And since I believe I'm perishable and I'm only gonna live to be 80, and my dick's only gonna work for 40 years. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and sell all you fuckers out. Yeah, that's basically the story. And that's how you got your warring factions, your secret societies. You got your good ones, you got your bad ones. You had your Knights Templars, you got your Masons, and blah blah blah. And then there's like same shit with the gangs too. Like you look at a biker gang, like man, them are stand up fucking people. I never knew of a fucking rider that would have, man, them motherfuckers stop and help you. Most of them. I'll call them clubs. Yeah, how's that? Clubs, not the gangs. Clubs. Biker club. Them people are about being righteous, man. Sharing knowledge and being low impact on they live in a clubhouse. Or close by. And they use very little gas. They use very little fuel. And they're smugglers, man. They're smugglers. They know how to smuggle. Like, well, how much could you really have on that fucking thing, It ain't on it. So, it's just lies. And then it's lies on, like, not even on a mass scale. It's a mass micro scale, okay? So you've got your specific, call it propensity to believe, story X, Y, and Z, which ultimately makes you draw this conclusion, and they're gonna kind of coagulate you everybody that's gonna think like that in one area, and then so they just basically go along with, oh yeah, that makes sense. But then you got a guy like me, I've seen too much of the world, man. I've seen too much of the world. I've talked to too many people. I've seen too much, and now I'm like, you're fucking right, man. I see the cage for what it is, but I'm human. I got a conscience. I didn't just fuck someone over just to put a few $100 extra in my pocket. I mean, there's man, I meet these people on homeless. They'll come up to my car, dude, and or my sport van, and they're looking at my car, and me I gotta get look at what the fuck is you want, man? What the fuck? Try to look at my car, and I'm standing in front of, and they're still they're like a dog, just rearing to go, man, fucking like a dog that sees a squirrel outside or on the other side of the fence, and you got to hold the dog back, or you're opening your door and your dog's trying to dart out and go chase this thing, and then these guys are looking in my car like that, and I gotta be like, man, what the fuck? And I'm like, man, I wonder if I could body slam you. That's why I started looking up. Man, do you think I could body slam you? And then they start fuck off, dude. Oh, yeah. Well, think it out loud. Start trying to think out loud, guys. Think out loud. All right. Yeah. Those motherfuckers. Yeah, because it's dude, I'm telling you right now, they ain't human. Them guys ain't human. They're not human. There's everybody walking around masks during COVID because too many people are talking to each other and their mouths aren't fucking moving. Mommy, those guys are talking to each other and their mouths aren't moving. Or your kid hears something that you thought and you're like, what the fuck? Did I say that out loud? You ever have a situation like that? Then yeah, you'll start having those thoughts, but then immediately something will happen to distract you, or some fucking commercial will come on that hypnotizes you out of it, or oh shit, they got fucking Black Friday doorbusters, better run. What? Wait, what was I just thinking? Hold on, huh? And then it's and then your mind goes blank, and then you're like, whatever. Let me go get a glass of Tang. Come on. So I keep a journal, man. I keep a journal. I mean, I've got years of just documented shit. Okay. Put it all together, but at this point, it's take forever to explain anyway. I mean, I'm explaining it, it's hard, man. It's hard. it's hard to put together like 20-something years worth of data into a cohesive analysis and then convey it in a short period of time without everybody who's been conditioned to be like, yeah, man, you're fucking nuts, dude. So, no, actually, I'm not. Look, here's all the data. Are you smart enough to follow it? Apparently not. Or how about this? Maybe you're just smart enough, but you're hypnotized to react poorly to it, or in poor taste to it. Yeah, I'm trying, man. I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. Alright, so yeah, there's certain things you can't say, certain things you shouldn't say. You have this hypnotic effect. And I'm up in the air whether or not I should use these tactics for good, because the tactics that were used against me that I picked up on, and then I realized I could utilize them as well. I'm woke, you know. Now they're making fun of that word, right? Like, because we're all talking about, yeah, man, I'm woke, dude. What the fuck? What the fuck's you on? And then you got like fucking, like, now the politicians are using it, so they're kind of like, what they do is they water it down. They water down the concept and then make it look like it's dumb or stupid or crazy. You know, so you got politicians saying like shit out of context, like cowardly wokeness, whatever the fuck that means. But then they use the LYs and all that shit. And I ain't no reason for you to use a fucking adverb. Just say what you want to say. You know, why do you gotta, you know? So it's, but it's hard sometimes to be conditioned, because we've been conditioned to use those words. So, like, I mean, this is like the game of the gods, all right? You know, the game of the gods, it's a sick fucking game. All of life is a sick fucking game. If you want to be like a good, you know, a good rat in the maze, essentially, like, you're just gonna do what you're told, do what you're expected. Yeah, as I said, ant jumped right out of a fucking tree, parachutes down somehow, and then gets on my head. Dude, you're not crawling in my ear, you son of a bitch. I'm taking off my hat. Fine. Yes, it's me. So that ant. Right, all right. So you got an ant. It's just like climbing up that tree. It's fuck it. It's time to jump. I'm gonna jump. Land right on this guy's head. Like, what? And it don't die. You know, it's able to fall. Like, so that thing's able to fall. Like whatever it is. Let's say, I don't know. It's a centimeter. Let's just say. Man, let's just say it falls like 1,000 times its body length. Like, well, how did you land and be okay? Oh, you're that lightweight. Right. Okay. Well, how do you have that much energy to even climb that tree, then jump the fuck out of it, and then run off? I mean, you weigh like, you know, like a freaking microgram. I mean, 1,000th of a gram. I mean, you must have like, you know, maybe 10 picograms of calories in you. Like, your whole ant has like 1 calorie or whatever. I mean, how many ants do I got to eat every day to survive, right? Like, I don't, you know, start eating insects, man. Weird shit's gonna happen to you, okay? You might grow things in other funny places. You seen that movie, The Fly? It's not exactly like that, okay? So don't, you know, be careful. Yeah, let's talk about the fly. Well, yeah, you know, we could talk about the fly too. Like, man, the fly's kind of like the bee. Comes at me like, what the fuck? What the fuck? And, you know, I see hornets in nature too. I mean, they're like going up and picking up spiders, like the mud daubers. Like, man, these things go and collect spiders all day long. And it's like they're specifically designed to collect these spiders, and then they pack them in, and they pack them in like this, like mud little. I don't like using hand like motion either. Do not, you know, a smart human being can convey the information they need to and talk with their hands behind their back. Okay. You know, if you can't communicate like that, like, man, because you'll get Beelzebub on a subtle level, or you've just been preconditioned to convey your point, utilizing what's called body language, but it's all like a hypno trick. And that shit's real, man. Like, there's fucking wizards out there and shit, like, but not like the fucking, oh yeah, I'm wearing a cone hat with a fucking bunch of stars on it and shit like that. Like, no. All right, there's I'll tell you about Bonnie in Illinois. Man, this woman, I did a couple news articles on her. I had to start a news organization, like, literally, because all this weird shit was fucking happening to me. I don't want to make a correlation just yet. I'll tell you. I made a Facebook page. I wrote a couple of articles, and then by my third article, there was this horrible motorcycle crash. I think I told you in yesterday's show. So I just stopped doing news altogether. I'm like, all right, I felt like that was my fault, and like the AI system or whatever fucking served it up to me, like, oh, you want to do the news, huh? Here, check this out. And meanwhile, mind you, like there hadn't been a fucking car accident or a motorcycle accident, and oh, no, it's bastard. Fine, okay. So anyway, long story short, the Bonnie lady shows up everywhere I need to be. I was trying to get a building, a Bando building in Aurora, Illinois, where there's plenty. And I wanted to start a civic center there. I want to do something like, I want to do singles movie night, a bingo hall, a prayer night. Doesn't matter what religion you come to, man. You don't have to pray to, like, let's just pray to be human. Like, let's just get together and pray. All right, no matter what your background is, no, just come on in, man. All right, civic center. So I wanted like to start this, but like somehow, some way, the day I finally got up the nerve, and I'd made some signage, and I was gonna try to take donations from people, and I went there with a broom to sweep the parking lot because it was just trash, man. You could tell, and it was on a heavy heavy traffic intersection, and there was things on each corner except for this building, and I don't know what it used to be. But it looked like it could be a good civic center. That's what I thought. And I mean, if I were like a political organization, man, like if I was like a Republican or a Democrat, like I would have bought that building right up and like, here's our Republican headquarters for the Midwest, like boom, right there. And then every day we would like have a sign out there, and you don't see shit like that. And you got to start wondering why. Like, well, okay, so our country's run by like these political factions, but they don't even really fucking exist. Like, there's hardly any infrastructure. Last time I seen a Republican headquarters was like this rundown dump building, and that was like here in Florida. Like, all right, man, you guys should like look at the fucking Church of Scientology. Like, you guys got way more money than them. Like, why don't you have shit that dwarfs their shit? Like, well, you're not allowed to buy a building? Bullshit. So, and you got all this establishment money, so it's kind of like, start scratching my head. So anyway, I go to start this civic center. I was trying to get donations to buy this building. I was going to do it on the up and up. I was going to climb up, whatever, never mind. I told you the locksmith story yesterday. So, but I wanted to make sure it was on the up and up. I got involved with members of the community. Like started meeting, like people, like. Who's the clerk of court, the judges, community members, people at the library, met a few officers of the law. All right. So I was getting plugged in with the community there, and I grew up there. So hey, and I expected to see people and I didn't see anybody that I grew up with, and I'm like, how the fuck did I go to school here? Like, and my graduating class was like huge, and then like I was on the football team, and I played other people in neighboring, like I had friends, man. I mean, then between like Facebook and all that, and the social media and whatever platform you were on, like none of these people were around, and like I should have bumped into somebody I knew at some point. Okay, I just should have done it. I should have bumped into someone, and I didn't. I'm like, what the hell's going on? What gives? And I mean, I speak fluent Spanish as well, so I fit right into Aurora, Illinois. That's where, like, basically in the 90s you had a lot of in Mexico, man. That's Mexico. Oh yeah, I did a story on the Mexican Independence Day as well too. And so you have these old Americans like freaking out, like old ladies calling the police, like, they're finally revolting. Fuck are you talking about, lady? Because a lot of them, like, they put their flag, the Mexican flag on their hood of their car, and some did even like put a 2x4 out the window or out the sunroof with a flag, which that kind of didn't last long, because then a couple people had flag accidents and blah blah blah, and then you had a couple. And what was funny is, like, there was a couple Americans that had the big redneck trucks that like got even bigger American flags, and then and then they started driving around like it was a competition. Like, dude, they're celebrating Independence Day, right? Like, or it wasn't Cinco de Mayo. It was their independence from Spain or something. I forget what exactly it was, but it was and see, that's the thing too, the kind of confusion, because I'm like, well, it's not a Cinco de Mayo, but then all of a sudden the Mexicans in town got this. So it's had something to do with their politics of their country, which they still have family down there. Lots of them, and like the plaza I was at, there was like 3-4 buses going out a week, going down there. So basically like they start putting their flags on the hoods of their cars, which is pretty neat. And then driving around, it's like, hey, look how connected they are. That's awesome, man. You know, and yo puedo hablar también, perfectamente. Y, well, pues, almost, okay. Yo estoy cerca de perfección, pero no puedo totalmente. Pero yo puedo comunicar con, I don't know, fácil. Es fácil para mí para comunicar en español. Okay? All right. So, it's harder to hear and then process when someone speaks real fast in Spanish. I can speak fast in Spanish. I can read Spanish like really fast, but you got to practice listening too. Anyway, like, you got this one guy ready to put his American flag up, it's like, well, dude, it ain't really about that, man. I mean, if you're plugged into your community, and like, I mean, they're having parking lot parties, like, hey, man, these guys are a community, like, they put a couple things out on Instagram, and next thing you know, there's 300 people in the parking lot, with loud music doing burnouts, and the liquor store in the plaza is fucking booming, like, oh, hell yeah, what's going on? The Indian guys are like, holy shit, I just ran out of beer, that never happens. Yeah, man, don't take a look out your window. But a lot of people didn't have any context to what was going on around them. They were fucking scared. So I did a news story. It's like, hey, dude, what the fuck? No problem, man. Hell yeah, I'm enjoying the festivities. This is awesome. So yeah, I did a news story on that as well. They're finally revolting. What the fuck? Yeah, that's the conditioned lady that's been conditioned to be like, thinking, like, let me just go out there and stir up some shit. Or the redneck guy that somehow saw their national unity and cohesiveness as a culture as an affront to him, where he thought it was a competition who could make the biggest flag and then put it on the back of their truck. It's like, dude, it wasn't even about that. And it's like, like, what was that? Why'd you have to do that, man? Like, it was a bulwark? Like, what did you think? Like, it was a takeover? Like, it had no... I mean, come on, man. So it helps when you have somebody that's doing the real news, all right? So that was real news real fast, okay? It's important for us to have a cohesive culture, all right? And respect our neighbors, too. Mexico's our neighbors, man. They're our neighbors. Nuestros vecinos. Viva Mexico. Okay? They're our neighbors. And it's important that we are friendly with our neighbors. Just like the guy you live right next to, you don't want to start a fucking fight with him over nonsense. Yeah, like, I mean, then you got, like, other people, they, like, stir up shit, too. Like, I don't know, there was that chip guy, the ruffle chip guy or whatever it was. I don't know. Like, this guy... Like, I don't know, apparently was throwing a bag of chips over a fence or something like that, or had blown over on this guy's property, and, like, he, like, made a stink about it or something like that, and then, but he wanted to film this guy picking up the bag of chips, and then he had an adverse reaction. It's because that guy did hypno shit on the other guy, and it ended, it ended not well, to say the least. So, you respect your neighbors, man. Just respect your neighbors. Just respect your fellow man, your fellow human, human. All right. Use the word we. Okay, it's we. It's us. All right. It's not us and them. It's we. We're all here together. All right. Like, it's not about. I mean, fuck the transhumanist movement, like, whatever the fuck that means anyway. Like, no, it's like, you're gonna transcend. See, you got these people thinking like, oh yeah, I'm gonna transcend or ascend, and I'm gonna become one of these immortals and live on the moon with them. Fuck no, you ain't, man. You're just a tool. A tool. That's what you are. You're a fucking tool. They're gonna utilize you, and then they're gonna burn you like any fucking intelligence apparatus would burn some, shitbird fucking, that's gonna sell out their own fucking people. Like, you ain't getting no payout, dude. You ain't getting no payout. You're gonna get burned at the end. And you're like, oh, what the fuck? If you're smart about it, yeah, you might be able to see it coming, and yeah, but still, look at all the people you had to fuck over just to get fucking something that people probably would have just given you anyway if you're a nice human being. or we would have shared with you. I would have shared with you. You work together, we can share. So I have things like ride share, and I mean, it got to the point in the city. I live in the city. I live in Manchester, Vegas. Shout out you guys. That explains my politics, right? Like we're very liberal up there, libertarian. Okay, we're liberal with the law. We don't like them, okay? Because we see them for what they are. It's just like a form of fucking control to keep you from asking too many fucking questions. Okay, so. But anyway, when I was there, I mean, I'd sold my car to an old lady who needed a fucking car, man. And I sold it to her cheap because I was like, man, I'm taking my bike everywhere and I don't even need this thing. And, Chevy Cavalier, I still see him. I mean, yeah, I had a busted out tail light, which, technically wouldn't pass inspection. So I was like, man, it's going to cost me $200. I sold it to you for $800. I sold it to her. Her son came by, bought it for $800, and then they shared it. But like I could have fixed it. I got handyman. I rebuilt transmissions. I spun a bearing. I blew my engine and fixed it for 80 cents. Okay, like pulled over immediately. I heard it. That shit. Put in heavy oil. I got it home. Drove it like 10 miles an hour all the way home, and then took it apart. And I got that spun bearing out of there. The crank journal wasn't fucked up, and I didn't even put an oversized bearing in there. Okay, but I bought like 3 bearings anyway. I bought the oversized one, and then but just in case. So yeah, technically, all right, I spent $2.40. But for like fucking 80 cents, I fucking blew my engine and fixed it. And you know what I did? I just picked up a book and watched some videos to learn. I mean, hey, like if you can RTFM, all right, if you can RTFM. You can pretty much do anything, okay? As long as, like, you got the documentation, hey, boom, here it is. Like, step by step. I ain't gonna fuck that up, right? What should have, I mean, yeah, I had put in my labor in my own hands, and yeah, I did, well, at the time I had all the tools, it kind of got fucked out of those. Bunch of nonsense. I've had like every tool, in my lifetime, I have had every single tool that you could possibly have, like 3 times over. I've owned 3 different combo kits, and now I own none somehow. Like, where's my fucking rigid combo kit, you guys? I know you. Where's all my Snap-on tools? Yeah. What's with that? And I didn't pay full price for those off some truck, man. Believe me, I got them Snap-on tools from a nice old lady whose husband died, and she wanted to pay it forward to a good man. Here, you can take them for next to nothing, right? Sometimes you find these gems at a thrift store too. Like, you just got to know what you're looking at. How you walk through there and like not know what you're looking at, man? Like, I mean. If it's heavy, it's probably expensive. Put it down. So there's so much work to do, guys. So much work to do. I gotta circle back. Okay, I started a news organization. I had to start a news organization because I was just tired of seeing what I seen. Oh, to establish credibility, really. To establish credibility. Because that's important, so you can't be discredited by like the foolish Beelzebub people or the people that have been like just hypnotized their whole life, and the second you say something that makes the Bonnie, I would try to like say things that made sense to this woman, and man, she would start fucking yelling and screaming right at the top of her lungs. Oh, this was the lady with the trespass book, right? She had a book that was like she had all the everywhere she had been trespassed, like it was a fucking trophy. And, man, my assessment was she knew exactly what the fuck she was doing, and she was not crazy. Nope, she's not crazy. So every time I mentioned something of, like truth to her, and she would fly off the handle, I knew that I had made the right analysis. So she's kind of a litmus test, and she didn't know. And that's kind of why I fucked with her, because while it was painful, because she the whole time was playing her own little sick game where she gained my trust. I put some shit in her storage unit, just inconsequential items with little to no sentimental value that could easily be replaced, given the voodoo box, the donation box there in Montgomery, Illinois. Yeah, that's why that's a long story why I left there, you guys, those of you that know me. in real life, right? In the flesh, not on the screen. It's part of the reason why I left. I got other duty to do too. So she was like a litmus test. So you can find these like these Beelzebub demons, and they're gonna be like well, like she'll also be heavily abused as well, and then it's like her brain like so she's woke, but she's looking around the world like it's a game. Okay, this is all a game to her. So yeah, she gained my trust, and like I put my shit in her storage unit, and then slowly but surely I started to, and she knew the spots I went to, the library, public lands. That's where I go. That's where I live. The plazas where there's 24-hour gyms. I go in there. You got your membership and blah 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 blah. Right. So she knew all the spots that I was at, and then plus she would wind up at spots randomly that like, man, oh yeah. So I was trying to start a civic center. Oh yeah, so all my shit starts winding up all over town, right? I'm like, this fucking woman. You enjoy your raviolis? Alright. Fucking direct hit, man. Direct fucking hit. Hey. Well, fuck around, man. Fuck with me? Yeah, see what happens. So this woman, the first day I finally gathered up the courage, and I spent like my last like $14 I had on a broom from the Ace Hardware, like three stores down, and I go over there with my broom. I park at the adjacent Taco Bell, buy a taco, whatever, parked under the tree in the shade, and I go to the Bando building and I start cleaning up the parking lot, man. I mean, and this woman's there. And not only is she there, she's claiming to be broke down, and her car is parked like under the entryway of the building. Like, you go under the entryway like a soffit area. Like, picture you're gonna go to your supermarket and there's a fucking car parked there where you're supposed to walk in. But it was an abandoned building. There's no actual business there. So somehow, some way, she's parked under there. It's like it's like she had been put there just specifically to be in my way. And so whatever, I'm like, all right, finally, so I got as close as I dared, took some pictures, me, and she's like clonked out in the fucking, in the seat with a hard hat on. Yeah, she wears a hard hat, or she goes when we're in a construction hard hat, for good reason. People get upset with her. So she's got that three. I mean, I got a hard hat too, I didn't work construction, but, like, what the fuck, lady? Yeah, and then she's got a Marine Corps sticker on the back of her fucking, window, and it's like, yeah, I'll find out for sure real quick if you even got a pair of fucking balls, which she did. I don't know if she was an actual Marine. I didn't fuck with her long enough because the situation had deteriorated to where it became untenable, and just, it would have been a Pyrrhic victory in the end, and blah, 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 and duty called elsewhere, and But anyways, this was, I tried to make a civic center for the community, and so I can bring people in, run a bingo hall, make some money, and get involved in the community analogously. And I want to put the lottery out of business. You want to do something smart in your community? Run the fucking numbers, man. Make your own fucking lottery. Run the numbers, and keep it all on the down low like you're dealing drugs. Okay. Have a way to authenticate it. You could have one guy that signs every ticket. Like, just put your mind to it, man. You'll come up with a solution, man. These people out there, they're like sheeple, man. They're gonna go blow freaking $80 a day at the gas station on scratch offs. I mean, come on, dude. Like, you got that kind of scratch, and like you ain't doing shit in this country for anybody else, and you're just pissing your money down a black fucking hole. It's a bunch of nonsense. Bunch of total fucking nonsense. It's a racket. And then you got people that like, that money is being just siphoned off elsewhere. Like, there's some guy or girl shows up with a gun and takes the money from the safe, puts it in an armored car, and goes somewhere with it. Go to your education system. How many students went to school this year? How much per credit hour was the subsidy? Do the math. And then you'll find that, like, there's a $300 million surplus in that lottery fund. And then you'll be like, hey, can we spend that $300 million on a new school? What $300 million? Yeah. Well, I'm a reporter, and I'm doing this story on excess surplus funds in the lottery fund because nobody went to school during the pandemic. Shouldn't you have like $600-700 million? Yeah, we should, but we don't. You know, they're like, I mean, sooner or later you'll get to the right person, and then they'll just fucking pay you to go away. All right. But at that point, it's like, man, I ain't about that, dude. Like, I want to hang you from the tree behind me, man. Like, what? Where's these millions of dollars? They're supposed to go in the education system. Welcome to Chicago. Shit happens everywhere, man. It ain't just Chicago. So that money's being put somewhere. And now my bet is that there's people that know what's up. They know that we're in a cage, and they're either working with our jailers or they are putting together like some type of, they're building the infrastructure we're going to need for the fight in the future. I mean, that's the best you can hope for, but like, man, I want to prove it. Like, you got to show a guy like me that kind of shit, man, because if not, like, I'm gonna dismantle you, not even knowing I'm doing it. Okay, I don't want to do that, but you're not leaving me much of a choice. So, and you're fucking over a lot of people that, hey man, I want to get a cut of that and do my own thing. I want to start a civic center. I want to see people have love, man. Singles night, you know, like, hey, let's go watch a movie. I'm gonna put a movie on a projector and then put it on the wall, and we're gonna do bingo night twice a week, and then we're gonna do movie night, singles, teen night too. Like, just, hey man, you're a teenager, you get in. No adults here. You got your chaperones. Like, we'll have like 4 actual adults, like cool guys like me, you know, in his fucking 30s, not some fucking like 80-year-old guy that's gonna be drooling over every 15-year-old girl. Like, somebody that's got like, you know, a wife, kids, or just whatever, man. Like, somebody that's plugged in the community that, you know, ain't no fucking sketchball shitbird, okay? No Basil Bub demon hypno fucks, okay? And then you're gonna put just shit that teenagers like to do. Here you go. And hey, here, you know what? Here's free internet for the homeless. We're gonna broadcast it like a mile in each direction, by the way. But they don't ever have fucking phones for some reason. Yeah, why don't you have a phone, man? Because you're out here on bullshit. That's why you don't got a phone. You always gotta come at me and pay me. I'm out on the street, but they pay me $1 to use my phone each time. And it's like, yeah, dude. Like, why don't you have a phone? Because they're fucking hurting people and they don't want to get caught. Okay, that's, you know, there's homeless people out here like me that are like, you know, well, I'm without home. I don't, you know, look at me, you never think I was homeless. I mean, you see me around town, and you'd be like, all right, dude, like, well, I see you everywhere, man. What's up, man? Who are you? What are you doing? You know, yeah, I'm fucking wasting these demons for you guys. You know? See, I come into town, man. These motherfuckers scattered, man. They'll scatter. All right, well, they'll try me because I'm like the bait. Okay, I am the bait. That's what I am. I'm the bait. All right, I have like victim written across my forehead that I can't see, and these hypno fucks come at me all the time. They out themselves. That's like, you know, when I see something that just don't add up, I start, you know, like I'll be friendly, like, how are you not? You want a hug? You know, like, ask questions and shit, and you know, like, you know, I'll figure out real quick if they're on bullshit. Okay. Like, it don't take long to find out who the shitbirds are, and who the actual, like, people who are victims, who have been victimized by, like, their family and their friends for some reason. Typically, it's because, like, the smartest people I've ever met have all been on the streets. Okay. They'll be like, they'll be in a jail, a prison, or they'll be like, you know, like just like a one-time offender type deal or something. Like, they ain't about that life, but like somehow, some way they wound up like through total fucking nonsense. And I'm the kind of guy that, like, I'll pick apart your story, man. I ask a million fucking questions. Will you hesitate fucking once, man? I'm all over your shit. Like, what is there to think about? A simple yes or no question, man. Like, did you get in a fist fight with your wife? Is that, you know, like, did she throw a fucking anything at you? Oh, here's an angle, like, oh yeah, I could save face. And no, I see your fucking mind churning, man. No, she didn't throw anything at you, because if you would remember a fucking ashtray being thrown at your head. You know? Like, come on, tell the story. I'm a writer, all right? That's what I do. I write. So I talk to everybody. I see if they're lying. I mean, I smell bullshit a mile fucking way. Okay, but I'll see how far you'll go too. I'll play the game with you and see how far you'll go, and that's where my ability is. And then when you get to a certain point where like they are backed into a corner suddenly, and then their only way out is through like hypno shit. Like this Bonnie woman, man, like dude, she had a fucking wand, like this fucking wand. Like she'd press different buttons, different lights, and she would hold it in her hand as she was talking to you, and we waving her around and shit. Like what the fuck is that? That shit don't work on me, lady. But it works on other people. I saw these other guys, man, like some of these people that claim to be veterans. This one guy claimed to be a CIA operative, you know. And, you know, I mean, a lot of veterans don't have big old fucking holes in their head, too. Like they've had either, like, brain surgery or... And more than likely, dude, somebody cracked this motherfucker in the head because he's a fucking shitbird hypno fuck. And, like, with a bat or something, right? He's like, oh, yeah, the bomb went off in training, blah, 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 or I dropped a grenade or something. Like, fuck you, man. Get the fuck out of here. Or they'll have had brain surgery or something because some doctor found out that he was a fucking hypno demon and like, oh yeah, man, you're sick, you know, or something like. But man, you'd be surprised how many times I went out to like lunch, because I'll get them in, like they'll get in my car and they'll think they got me, right? And these guys are so cheap. Like these the demons, they're fucking cheap as fuck, man, super cheap. Like, dude, put like $5 in my gas tank, you know, and I like have to pull over and be like, all right, man, your $5 is gone. So either pay more money or, oh, just drive a couple more miles. There'll be a gas station. Well, hold on. No, I got a map right here. Let's see if there's another gas station. Well, I don't shop at that one, man. I need good gas because I have a turbo. Okay, so I need premium gas. I'm not going to go to your shit fucking gas station where your fucking other hypno fucking dickbag works and fucking you guys are going to roll on me and take everything I got because you're going to think you're going to tag team me. I'm immune to all that shit, man. So, like, but anyway, they're like, oh, all right, let's go out to lunch then, fine. You know, some of them do eat. And, like, man, I'll be damned. Like, I've had a lot of free meals. Because they'll be like, oh, I'm going to pay. And I'll see the receipt later because they'll leave it in my car. And I'm like, motherfucker, like, we got 2 meals, but they only paid for 1 somehow. I'm like, well, how is this fucking happening? Right? So they go up there and, like, talk with their hands and do all this fucking shit with the cashier. And I'm like, what are you doing? It was like the initial stage when I started discovering, like, that, hey, man, we're in a cage and we're in here with fucked up things, okay? And it's like, then you'll get other people there just, you know, whatever, good looking, you'll get a discount anyway, or like you'll have, like, you know, because they, or you flirt, they get a discount. I mean, that's kind of like on a different level. That's not hypno, okay? That's just like, hey, I like you, you know, you like me, and they do you a favor. I'll buy you lunch, man, here you go. Put it in as my employee, fucking, there you go. Whatever, you know, here, employee discount. I'll buy it for you. You know, that's just because you're a nice guy and I like you. You know, shit like that happens to me all the time. I'm not, you know, I don't sit there and go up there with the angle that I'm going to get this for free because I'm going to hypnotize the fucking cashier or hypnotize the lady behind me to pay for it, you know, or some shit like that. So yeah, this Bonnie lady's like somehow gets stranded, in the entryway of this like former business that's now abandoned, and by that I mean abandoned building. Like there ain't no lights on, ain't no business operating out of it, and they're all over. They're all over, and it's not like a retail apocalypse, guys. Like it's literally, I mean it is, but it's like these buildings could easily be repurposed into all kinds of like community organizations, other things that we can use to just do stuff, man. Like I mean, I got so many business models in my brain. Like I mean, I can make money anywhere doing all kinds of stuff. I mean, but there's not. So it leads me to believe that there's not as much industry as we think, and there's not as many industrious people as you think either. And like people kind of like tapped out of the system basically because well, like I mean, like you guys want to talk about UBI, universal basic income, like that's already here. It's called fucking SSI disability. Pretty much anybody can get on it. All you do is like just I mean, it's not hard. You know, fake commit suicide, you know, pretend you like cut your arm up a couple times, dude. Be a cutter and say, oh, I can't handle it no more. And then they'll check you into the hospital for 3 days. They'll get your diagnosis, and then within a year, you'll have a check for the rest of your life. All right? There you go. There's your universal basic income. Or if you know you want to like early before, but you ain't gonna get much. Like if you want to go on there for like anxiety, depression, you can. But and if you didn't put your work in, you're not gonna get a lot. Like me, I could go there and get a check for $3,000 a month, or close to, probably. Based on, that's my Social Security output. They send you this thing every year, tells you how much money you made. I mean, I didn't file taxes for like 10 years, so there's a lot of like data that, hey, libertarian, man, like, what the fuck am I gonna file? I'm with Trump. Like, why would I ever file taxes? Well, I ain't telling you how much money I made. Claim zero, don't pay in. Well, all right. Yeah, and then they'll say, well, you owe, and then they'll keep your tax return one year. But I don't care. Like, whatever. Like, once that comes out of my check, dude, I ain't missing. I'm not like, oh, I'm gonna get a tax return. I just assume that, like. And there were years, I mean, I was in school for many years too, so I got like the Hope Education credit and blah, 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 and so it's like, well, I ain't paying in because I know that, like, I'll have a $2,000 tax liability this year, but I'm still going to get that education credit, so I'm not going to waste my time even filing, because, you guys that running these, big giant IRS should know this. Like, all right, he owes us $2,000, but he took, credit hours and is reported on his, what was it, the 1090 or, whatever that fucking, or the 1098, or I think it was 1098, and I would get that thing every year. So then they would just give me a tax credit for $2,000 every year. So yeah, I could have paid in and maybe got like $500 back based on my tax liability and my circumstances, and then they would have gave me another $2,000 for the Hope Education credit. I'm like, just keep your credit, I'll keep my money, and it'll be a wash. How's that? I'll do the math for you a year in advance. Well, apparently they weren't that smart there, and then they just decided to keep my money anyway. So it's like, fuck it, just keep it every year. I don't even want anything. I'm not going to file taxes. You keep this money every year. I mean, you can't get out of Social Security. You got to pay that. Like, that's where your SSI would come from anyway if you were going to collect the check, right? So, but your federal income tax, it's like, just keep the fucking money, man. I'm not filing taxes. You already know how much I made. If my employer didn't report it, and yeah, okay, or if So I just assume they're going to keep my return every year. I don't expect to get a return. I say, hey, I'm living here in society, and you know what? That's the price. There it is. There you go. Right? I'm not going to do this math, because then you got these math, and the only reason all that math exists is so people can get out of it. So I said, just fucking keep it. They know how much I'm going to pay, but I pay, Social Security, Medicare, income tax. Like, I pay a couple years. I claimed zero. I said, no, I have no tax liability because I knew I was going to get the education credit. I'm working a part-time job, going to fucking college full time. Like, I'm not going to fucking bother with this shit. Fuck that. Sorry. I'm moving around so much, like fucking tax document, go somewhere else, and then blah blah blah. It's like, you guys should know this already. It should just be a wash, and it should just be like, hey, all right, so. I mean, they've never frozen any of my bank accounts or anything like that, because I never actually owed them money. They'll keep my tax return if they determined I was to get one. Ooh, I didn't care about that, dude. Once I pay in, once that money's gone, it's gone. Like, here, you took it out of my check, it's a black hole. See you later. Yeah, I want to talk about something like that. Yeah, the black hole of the money. Yeah, so like. Yeah, so this Bonnie lady's like sitting there somehow in my way, like every step of the way, to keep me from starting a civic center in Aurora, Illinois. And like, and then she began, like, everywhere I was at, she was at somehow, and this woman, she collected a check. Like, she was getting like $1,700 a month or whatever. And it's just, oh yeah, so she's woke, right? She's woke, and she's looking around the world like, hey, this is just like a game. It's a game to her. Because she's got her universal basic income, she's got her car, and now she's going to go harass all the guys living on the street. And other people too. Like, she's going to drive through parking lots and yell obscenities at people in their face. Like, she bought me a cheeseburger at McDonald's. Like, oh, go to McDonald's. I'm like, all right, go to McDonald's. Man, she's sitting there talking to everybody's fucking kids. I'm like, all right, lady, this is fucking weird. What the fuck are you? Like, what the fuck? Hell no. And see, she'd use a guy like me to legitimize her presence. And start acting normal, and then we get into a place, and then he's like talking to people, fucking 8, 9-year-olds. Hell no, now I know you're a fucking hypno demon. Well, I kind of knew beforehand, but I wanted to see how far she'd go, and once I saw my shit popping up around town, all the places, like, it's a sick fucking joke, like, she tried, it's like, all right, bet, when she's gonna do something, then she's always gonna be in front of a camera somewhere. So she's the kind of sick person that she's gonna, like, do all this fucked up shit to you, and then get you to react poorly, or react with some type of reaction, and then she's trying to get you put in jail, and then she's gonna come visit your ass in jail. Like, huh, I caught you, now you're mine. I'm gonna put money on your commissary, but you know, like she owns you or something. In her mind, she owns you, you know. But I was like 10 steps ahead of that woman, man. Fuck you think? I already seen the shit. I already seen it. You got these women out there like that. They'll meet a guy, then they'll get that guy to come live with her. Yeah, sure, you can move in. You know, you got a job and blah blah blah. Oh, I'll get you a job, okay, or I'll help you find a job. Guy gets a job, gets first 3 paychecks. Next thing you know, they're all going to Rent-A-Center together, fucking, and he's gonna furnish her whole fucking house with all the Rent-A-Center shit. And then she's gonna start pushing his buttons and get him to like fly off the handle, call the police. They'll get a domestic and a restraining order, and he won't be. Then suddenly now he's not near any of his fucking property. Can't get to his property. It's a pain in the ass to get to his property. He ain't got nowhere to bring his property. All this fucking furniture that he rented. And now, so her house gets furnished, and then when Rent-A-Center comes say, hey man, where's our fucking money? We're give us our shit back, and she'd be like, I don't know where he's going. He attacked me. Look, here's the restraining order. And now suddenly she's got a free fucking house full of shit. This guy's sitting in fucking jail and his credit's fucked. That shit happens every fucking day, man. All right, every day it happens. So people, I don't believe people do that shit to each other, man. I think that's a fucking sick fucking, like, that's people that, like, look at the world like it's a sick game, okay? We don't need people like that. I mean, it's one thing if it's black on black, like, all right, man, like, the 2 hypno fucks get together and then, like, one fucks over the other, and, you know, but damn, man, like, this dude put a baby in you, and that's what you did to him? Like, what the fuck? You're gonna be talking to this guy the rest of your life. I mean, come on. Where did you get that idea anyway? Like, who even taught you to do that? And I ain't trying to advocate for that, you know, that, and but be aware. And that works both ways too, you know. I mean, the guy could just very easily make the girl look crazy too. It ain't hard. Like, I can see it's been attempted on me. Cause I'll cut, you know, I'll just don't apply, let it fly, right? Like, I'll let that shit roll right off my back. Sorry, you ain't getting under my skin, flipping and pretend to flip out over your spatula being moved. Come on. Yeah, now you're stuck with me. But you play the long game, and then, like, with me, it always, you know, I'm telling you, man, I got something written across my forehead that says victimize me somehow. So I live in the street. I live in public. That's where I live. Yeah, not in the street. I live in the public. What's left of it? What's left of our public? That's where I live. So, I mean, and even that, like and that's like another evidence that there was a harvest. Like 60 million people in our country disappeared. I promise you that. And there's no fucking graves and there's no bones. All right. And the way you know is, like, go look at the size of parking lots, man. Look at all those parking spaces. There's a reason they built them that big. It's not because of Amazon came along and people don't shop or buy cars anymore. That ain't the reason. And people got harvested. They're gone. Like, but to that point, right? So like every Planet Fitness in the country went down, and they blame it on the pandemic and the retail apocalypse, which kind of concurrently happened conveniently, right? Or with convenience for the agenda. And suddenly the gyms now are going, like, and Walmart too, man. They used to be 24/7. It'd be super Walmart 24/7. Now they close at 11. And they said, hey man, you guys could, and Walmart, you know, bless them, and like, you know, they knew what was up. And they said, man, anybody can come here and park. We don't give a shit. Like, come park in our parking lot. They put garbage barrels in all their stores out in the parking lot. Said, hey, man, you know, at least throw your shit away. Like, don't fucking leave it in the carriage. You know, they're smart about it. And said, hey, you know, like, if you're a traveler, you're on the road, man, this is a safe place. Well, not necessarily safe, but, I mean, here, you can boondock here. Like, some of them during Christmas have their, like, mobile, they'll come out with, like, they'll come up with like a mobile camera station. It'll be like a generator with like a 15-foot pole sticking out of it with like a camera on top, and then they'll have like a little blue light that blinks every 3 seconds to make kind of look like it's like the police or whatever. But it's not. I mean, it's not really, but it's a security feature, and it works. It deters. Because you know you're in a 24/7 parking lot, the middle of the night at like Walmart. You all kinds of fucking people come through. You know, like, I mean, if you're like a woman that you know, whatever, for whatever reason you got squeezed out of your fucking living arrangement or whatever. Now you're living in your car, your truck, or your van, or you know, your whatever, you know, conversion van or whatever the hell you have. And you're out there living. I mean, it's good if you have a dog, but it's a lot of work actually. You know, having. I mean, a dog's not going to care. Dog's going to live in the car with you. It's going to love you and be loyal to you, but it's going to be a lot more extra work, and it's going to be hard to, you know, get, you know, back into like a community and find, you know, meaningful work that pays enough to live. I mean, like I said, man, I live on less than, you know, like $500 a month, man. You know, so. Well, add in the car payment a little bit more, but or the sport van. But anyway, like, yeah, if you're a woman, like, man, like, you're gonna get stalkers out there, like thinking these, and they're like these hypno demons, like, cause, like I said, I've got victim written across my forehead. They come at me all the time, and they pretend to be all friendly and like, oh, like here's an answer to all my fucking problems, right? Or they'll just be on total bullshit. And you'll be like so desperate anyway that you'll jump or, you know, jump right on it. So put these cameras out there and stuff like that at the 24/7 ones. Like I've seen that. But if you noticed, like the Walmart started doing, you know, now they're closed at 11, and they're doing their stocking operations during the day while people are there shopping. So if that don't tell you. Like, it ain't because of Amazon, man. That is not because of Amazon. People aren't sitting at home, you know, because if that were the case, like, I lived across the street one time from a lady who was, like, exclusive Amazon, man. This lady had, like, fucking mountains of boxes outside her home every day, okay? And, like, I mean, the Amazon guys, like, knew her by heart, you know? Like, I mean, you just see the boxes in her trash. Like, it's obvious, you know, it's like, here, like, you ain't got to really prove something like this. It's obvious, right? Like, you got a lady that lives, your neighbor across the street gets like 20 packages a day. You know, her groceries are being delivered. So, like, Sam's Club started doing too. I get the Sam's Club Plus membership. You know, it's free shipping. You know, they rotate my tires for me. You know, I'm a big fan of Walmart. I don't care what anybody says. You know, whether you're blue or red, you know, you want to go to fucking Target and call yourself a Republican, I don't give a shit. Like, I shop at Target too. Like, that's where I get my stationery. You know, like, I'm not going to go there exclusively. You know, I'm libertarian. I don't know what the fuck color that is, but basically, like, I use my brain. And I vote my conscience and use my brain. And I vote what's good for all of us, not just me. And I don't subscribe to any type of paradigm that says, hey, put your mind in a box and says, this is our construct, this is how we have to think, because it's all fucking nonsense when you get down to the brass tacks. Like, you start looking at that shit and you're like, okay, man, fuck no, man, look at all the moving parts. Nope, system analyst, what do you want from me? I look at that and see the bullshit right away. Like, I can read a piece of legislation and immediately know who it's going to benefit and how, and what they're going to do in the next 2 years. Okay, so I could sit there and read legislation all day and start an investment group, but I don't. I could see the bill in committee and, you know, like, easily, I could easily start an investment group and just read the bills as they're in committee and then go schmooze, become friends with the congressman by, you know, starting a bullshit, like, perception management firm and be like, yeah, man, I'll handle this and that for you and I'll get you these amount of votes, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, then they like you and shit, and or maybe they're just attracted to you, whatever the fuck. I can walk in anybody's office, man. Like, trust me, it ain't hard. It ain't hard for a guy like me to walk in anywhere I want to go, all right? Just saying. I just smile. So, yeah, a little bit lined up, but get me lined up, go in there and smile. That's all I gotta do. Sign my constitution, would you? Yeah, I've been to DC, man. It's fucking nonsense, all right? So, I could sit there and read legislation that's going to be in a committee, and then I can see the moving parts and see who's going to benefit. I can see where they're going to do it. You know, like, you know, like Illinois offered a tax subsidy to Amazon to build fucking a bunch of fulfillment centers out there, you know, and then next thing you know, I mean, they ultimately pulled out. Yeah, but I could have, like, that's the dip though, like so when you see that and you see the permits being pulled, even, like, you don't even have to wait for a bill to be in committee, man. Just wait till you see the permits being pulled. All right, these motherfuckers building here, all right, they're expanding, all right, let me invest in Amazon. They're building infrastructure, and then you can start scratching your head. Well, wait a second, there's a harvest, and then people are going to disappear, and then their fucking sales are going to evaporate. And they can overstate them for so long, and then they can do the stock buyback purchase thing, and like that should have told you too. Like, once you knew that our government was going to print $18 trillion, like along with like the stock buyback plan, that came out like 6 years before they printed all the money. 6 years pre-COVID on the stock buyback. That's why like you see Apple and like they got all this liquid capital because they don't even know where to fucking put their money, because they see they've got all the data. You see, like all your devices, big data. That's what that is. Like they know that like 60 million people evaporated. They know that shit. Like a couple of data scientists are gonna go to their boss, but then their boss is gonna start going all crazy about it, and then they're like, all right, maybe I should just keep my mouth shut because they're paying me $300,000 a year. All right, fine, I did my duty. I slid you that paper with like, look, man, suddenly all these phones are not being used. What's going on here? Or like AT&T. They know that shit. Your counties know that shit. But there'll be people that will be able to be influenced in each one of those. See, it's not like a grand conspiracy. I mean, it is in the sense that it's like a giant fucking AI system controlling all these people concurrently, but they're also compartmentalized and they're not allowed to communicate with others to be able to put it all together and see the big picture. My brain is such that, and my genetics apparently is such that I can travel, and I do get sick, man. Like I drive 1,000 miles, I get to my end destination. Like when I'm moving, no, but once I get to where I'm going, man, I'm sick for like 2 or 3 days. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? It's like, huh? Ain't that weird? Oh, it might be the air. The humidity. Like, there's always some guy or girl, like there's just like somebody, and it'll be like an old person who's supposed to be credible, and they'll have like some cosmic fucking reason why this shit happens, right? It's like grandma will cure you with a pack of crackers and a bottle of water, 9 times out of 10. Or the school nurse, here you go, here's a pack of fucking Lance crackers and a bottle of water. Get the fuck out of my office. Or if it's usually the teachers that know what's going on. Like, well, talk to the nurse because I know you're hungry because your fucking parents are dickbags and not feeding you or whatever. Or, whatever the case may be. Like, I don't want to get into like the micro situations, but to the point, like these big companies know. So, like, I can sit there and read a piece of legislation and start an investment group, and I can convince people that do have some money, be like, look, and then like I could grow it. And then I could, set like 50-gallon or 55 gallon drums of oil on fire, and then like put out an advertisement, and then I'd be like, it would connect automatically. Oh, hey, this guy knows what's up. I buy a Corvette, right? Buy a fleet of them, and just set them on fire, and I'll get blessed. Trust me. In the form of, oh, all right. Yeah, that guy's doing his duty, destroying the planet. Make sure his advertisements get to all the right people that are going to funnel money to him. All right, that's how the world works for real. When you figure out this little cheat code and little hacks and shit, and like then suddenly but then it goes to your head, right? And you think like, oh man, yeah, this world ain't what it seems, but this is all true. Well, let me just keep on going, right? Let me keep on going. Cause why? Because man, I like driving around a 1,200 horsepower Maybach. I like that shit. I like having a yacht and catching a 300-pound fucking marlin. And I like being able to go to these like little islands in the Pacific on a little fucking plane and walking around like I fucking, can do anything I want. I ain't like that. I have the ability, but you won't ever catch a guy like me. Why? Because I'm a fucking human. I look at that shit and be like, hell no, you ain't doing that. So I don't do that. I read legislation all day. And make money. But I don't, because I have a conscience. Human beings have conscience, okay? Like, you have empathy and conscience, all right? And I don't want to teach people that either, but, like, I gotta, like, people gotta see the world for what it is, and then they gotta see that, all right, this is all wrong, and I'm not gonna support this system anymore. So, try to be anti-consumption, but it's gonna fuck you in the end. You'd be like me, but I'm a survivor, man. Nothing you throw at me, I ain't gonna live through, okay? You ain't gonna take me out, you ain't gonna take me down. You ain't gonna bring me down. I've already been fucking thrown in the gutter, and I have this story. Yeah. Let's talk about Jesus, right? Like, all right. Well, let's go with, all right. So the AI system, right? Like, I started questioning shit, and I'm like, man, all right, God, right? At the time, I'm like, all right, God, you got me driving. I just come from DC. I landed in Chicago. Well, like, I mean, I drove, but I came from DC and I went to Chicago. I'm like, all right, you showed me that. Like, you made all these circumstances to make me go to DC and realize there wasn't nobody fucking there. And then you made me report on the what was I there? The Roe v. Wade. Yeah, the Roe v. Wade thing was going on right there at the Supreme Court at the time. So, huge protest. Well, not even huge, man. There weren't even that many people there. For a country of 300 million, you think a lot more people would show up. But yeah, there was probably about, I got pictures, I don't know, some video, I was like 300 or 400, it was a good rally, for both sides, you know, there's advocates for both sides, you know, the false fucking paradigm, you know, like, oh yeah, right, like, oh man, I got this one guy, homeless guy, had the best sign ever, said something about repealing foreskin or some shit. Oh man, it was a great picture. I talked to him for a minute too, and you know, I journal it, I document it all. I document fucking everything, okay? Document everything. Hey, this shit happened. So maybe in a couple hundred years, somebody will find this shit and be like, damn, you know, just like we find fucking, you know, books out of the books from the Bible, from the other prophets, like the Book of Enoch, comes out of Ethiopia somehow. You know, what the fuck? How do you even, and it's like they had to like decode it. Like, well, why is it written in fucking Ethiopian or what, fucking, you know? Like, wait, hold on. You got, this information traveled all the way over here to the point where, like, you guys wrote it down in your own language, analogously, a long time ago, and then we lost it somehow. We just or it got, you know, wiped out, burnt out. And then, but suddenly we found it again. And other people were like, yeah, man, yeah, that is, yeah, Enoch, yeah, for sure. Well, there's Malachi, there's Enoch. They didn't make the cut. See, there's this thing called the, and I think I was wrong the other day when I started talking about Holy Roman Empire. I was a couple hundred years off. You know, like Charlemagne came through, and then there's like this thing called the Council of Trent. Cause I started thinking about it, I'm like, wait, I might be a couple hundred years off Holy Roman Empire. At the time, it was like, we had to, but at that point, it had become the Catholics. You know, the Vatican City and all that shit, right? You had this thing called the Council of Trent, where they basically kind of like revised the Bible. They went through and they had the cardinals come, the bishops, and they said, hey, we need a new format. And I don't know whether the long-term implications, I didn't study it like that much to like put it all together, but it's kind of like a revision. Like now we got the New Testament, you know, there's only so many books. Like not everybody made the cut. Okay, basically, not everybody made the cut. So Nucky and fucking Malachi didn't make the cut, all right? Enoch. Sorry, Charlemagne says you ain't getting in. So they wipe it out from Europe, but a couple of the parchments or, you know, whatever, the scrolls, scrolls of ancient wisdom survived in Ethiopia. So these guys, what they were saying hundreds of years ago, made it all the way to Africa, where somebody smart there said, hey man, this shit's important, I'm gonna hold on to it. And somebody else found it, you know, later on down the road, because, you know, like, so all the actions happen to get us this information. So that's why I'm telling you right now, yeah, there's AI system, but there's factions, man, there's factions. I mean, it all could be an illusion, but at this point, I'm kind of like taking it like, well, I mean, but it always, man, in my experience, everything ends in a sick joke. So it's a sick game too, so maybe it is, or maybe it's an alley-oop or whatever to get us to not believe, then believe again, then revise it again, and then to all to cook us down, basically. We're being cooked down. That's my best explanation, is that we're being cooked down to get basically the cream of the crop, meaning the humans. But if you pose a threat and your genetics aren't good enough, you'll probably get harvested. Like, or if you don't have like the potential to reproduce, you'll probably get harvested, or you'll get like discredited and you'll wind up on the street. You'll have like all your teeth will be gone. Bad things will happen to you. And then you'll just turn to the bottle or some type of substance abuse because you can't make sense of the fucking world. Like, hey, I did everything right. And I just, you know, you just got the worst luck possible. Like, how the fuck is that true? You know, everybody I ever knew fucked me over. Like, you know, a little brother rolled out of bed one day and decided he was going to slit my throat. You know, like, how'd that happen? Like, what the fuck? Where'd that come from, man? You know? What the fuck? So there's a selection process. Or like they just might like watching you squirm. Like I said, I've been selected for torture. You've been selected to have this comfy life and waste enough resources that could potentially help us to fight a war 100 years from now. Okay. So I don't like. I mean, I ain't lucky, man. I'm thankful. I'm thankful that I can see all this shit. Yeah, I ain't lucky. I'm thankful. Not lucky to have survived. I'm thankful, and I see the world for what it is. And we're definitely under attack. We're definitely under attack. So, I wanted to do the Jesus story. Right. So yeah, I wanted every time I Jesus. I mean, Jesus is Lord, right? I mean, this guy knew what was up. He knew what was up, and he rooted out evil and hunted down demons. And he taught people about the world around him, the real world. The shit, some things people just can't see. Whether you have the capacity or you've been hypnotized out of seeing it. So I come from D.C. after reporting on the Roe v. Wade thing. Went out back to my hometown in Illinois, Montgomery, where the Sliding Hill is, where I found that fucking boulder. That it was totally an asteroid, man. This thing's an asteroid. Like, you can just tell. You just look at it, and it looks like it's from outer space. And it looks like the same damn thing's been, like, fucking picked up and, like, hurled at us a million times. So maybe there's a big iron core in it, so you can, like, fucking magnetic tractor beam it the fuck out, when you need it. I don't know. I mean, it's the golf ball of the gods, right? Like, like start getting too big, run your mouth, they'll fucking hurl rocks at you from outer space, pop, 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 right across the Midwest. You got too much food, you guys are getting too strong, and for whatever reason, our hypno shit ain't working on you, so we're just gonna chuck rocks at you. Here you go, boom. There you go. 60 million people just fucking got hit by it. Oh, the comet's coming, or whatever the fuck, the fuck out of here. And then after the comet hits comes the Great Flood. You're like, yeah. I mean, so, so I left DC, and I go to Illinois, and I'm like, all right, God, what's up, man? I started, like, just, open up the communications, open up the dialogue. Like, what's going on here, God? Like, you got me going all over the country, seeing all this shit, and you ain't paying me. Like, I'm down to my last wire, and, basically, I was, and the synchronicities this day were off the chain, man. Like, I mean, like, every fucking thing that, like, the AI told me, it was true. And, it tells me, there's $10,000. Go to this gas station. I'll get you $10,000. You're gonna get it, from the lottery machine. So I'm like, all right, bet. I got, like, $20 in my name. I don't know, like, half tank of gas. And I go out there and, like, the whole time I'm, like, kind of questioning it, like, all right, man, come on, what the fuck I'm doing here, blah, 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 get me some money, and this and that, and, it tells me to go in and play this lottery machine. It's a sick joke, remember, so I play the game, I buy the tickets. Now, when I buy the ticket, I'm gonna buy a $10 ticket, and there was, like, some $10,000 or something, I don't know, I looked at it, like, I buy the ticket. I go to buy the ticket, and I put the $5 bill in, and the fucking thing crumples. It crumples in the machine. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me, right? I go tell the dude that, and it's funny because as I walked in, the guy was kind of, yeah, she don't want me to tell the story. Go to tell it, and the guy's like an Aspie, okay? What that is like an Asperger. Like, this guy's like, well, Aspie's kind of taking on a different, it's a terminology to describe somebody who's kind of like antisocial, but like it used to be like Asperger, but now it's being used more broadly. Like an Asperger, like they'll view everything as a threat, everything, and but now it's kind of more like an antisocial person, an Aspie. Fucking Aspie kids or whatever, there's like, you can kind of lump in like all these types kids in it. That's why the term's kind of gotten taken on it's become its own monster. But it used to be like an Asperger, and so this guy reminded me like an Aspie guy, you know. So I've met a lot of people. Okay, I've met a lot of people. I'm not a psychologist, but I could probably like talk to you for 20 minutes and figure out like, all right, you know, just saying. I mean, I could explain what that person is and their personality, but I might not know the fucking, like, you know, whatever the clinical diagnosis terminology to just reference it. So, okay, so I don't have the reference name, but, like, I could describe all the symptoms, if that makes any sense. So I got in my own mind, you know, what I call these different people. He's an Asperger. Aspie. All right? Aspie fuck now. I'm not a threat to you, man. I get you. Like, it's okay. So, anyway, this guy's working at the gas station, right? And so I instantly established rapport with him before I even, like, kind of knew, like, all right, you know, it's like, so I establish rapport with him, blah, 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 I have a conversation. There was something going on, like, out in the parking lot or some shit, too. Like, it was just weird. Like, somebody spilled gas and he, like, went out there and put, like, some shit on there or something like that. Like, the place was fucked up. Well, it was a decent gas station. It wasn't like one of these, like, you know, bodega gas stations. It was a decent, normal gas station. I forget which kind it was. I could check my data. I log everywhere I go at every fucking second. So, you know, if I ever disappear, man, there's people that are just like, yeah, dude, that's where he was last. All right. So, like, I have accountability buddies. So, you want to try to fuck with me? Yeah. Someone's going to know. Come at me, bro. Come at me. Anyway, so I go to this gas station. I put the $5 bill in, and it fucking crumples up in there. And keep in mind, the AI is just telling me it's 10 grand. There's 10 grand. This gas station, right? Or there's money for you. I mean, I might have inputted the 10 grand by just looking at the tickets, and then said, all right, that would get the job done. Give me $10,000, and I can continue on. You know, go to the Pacific Northwest, report out there, blah 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 blah. See what the fuck's going on. I'm gonna go find, you know, 10 grand. I'll go find all the end of the world bunkers that the billionaires have. They're mostly in Colorado. I'll tell you that right now, and they're in the mountain ranges, man. They're turning the Pacific Midwest. They're burning it down because they're putting the potash back into the soil, which is basically fertilizer, and that's going to be the farmland. All right. As the rest of the country gets dismantled and then sinks into the ocean from the Great Flood or whatever the fuck, you know, like, it's a cycle, right? So I get to the gas station, the bill crumples up, and I tell the Aspie dude, and he's like, you know, he's like, so, like, awkward or whatever, man, like, so, you know, like, but he's kind of on point, but not on point, like, so he goes back into the manager's room, and I'm sitting there talking to him the whole time, you know, just shooting the breeze, and so now I know exactly where this key is, that opens the lottery machine, and, you need a key to get in the door, but the door, like, I mean, a fucking crowbar, a distraction up front at the, you know, and a crowbar, and you just reach in, you have to, like, open the door all the way, like, you would open it 2 inches and just reach your hand in and grab the key, and then go to the lottery machine. You could open that fucking lottery machine up, and you take all the tickets, and but what he showed me as he opened the machine to get my $5 bill out, he pulls out, like, the money box, like, when you put your money in, it goes into it gets straightened out, flattened out, and then it goes into, like, a money box that holds all the money. And so I'm like, son of a bitch, dude, this is God, the AI system, like, cause I could easily just, like, man, he pulled it out, and then he took, like, he used the damn key to, like, pull my $5 bill out, and I could see, cause there's, like, a cutout, I could see the thing was full, and most people ain't putting dollar bills in there, man. They go in there and put $20 bills in that machine, so that thing's full of cash, right? So this is how if you want to rob a lottery machine, this is how you do it. Sorry, I'm sharing. All right, so you crumple up, or you get a bill crumpled up go into the lottery machine, then you watch the employee go get the key. You know, if they're the manager, most places don't even have managers anymore. All right, if you hadn't noticed that, like, you go into a gas station, there is no manager. That's why they can't keep fucking half and half in the craft. You go to buy a goddamn coffee, and you're just like, well, hold on a second. Where's the half and half? I mean, supply chain issues, yes, but, like, a good manager on point will source their shit, and they're just going to spend money out of the petty cash. You know, hey, I mean, I need this. I don't care what corporate says. We're going to hire a pressure washer to do the parking lot because it's fucking nasty, man. So nasty. And I mean, how often do you see that? You go to a gas station, the parking lot's just fucking stained up with like 4 years worth of oil dripping out of people's cars, dude. There's gum stuck to it. Like, it's like, what, man? You can't spend $400 a year on a pressure washer? Can't even buy a pressure washer, have your employees go do it? I walk in these gas stations and I got 6 people working in the morning, and it's like, dude, like your coffee station's blown the fuck out. You got like no sugar, and there's no half and half in the craft. Like, what's the problem? What's the problem? This shit's easy, simple. It's because there's no manager there. There's no manager. There's just employees. So anyway, and he's the only employee working there. It's probably like, I don't know, like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. And he goes and he pulls that big cash box right out of the machine. I could see all the cash in it, and he pulls my $5 bill out and hands it back to me. And I was like, son of a bitch, man, I just ripped that right out of your hands and fucking run out the door. You know? Yeah, the camera's in my license plate, blah, 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 but like I could go back there and do this, and I could do it all over the country, easy. All these lottery machines, man, my bill got crumpled up, and they're gonna go get the key, they're gonna open the lottery machine up, they're gonna pull that same exact box out, and all you need to do is have some guy that you pretend that you don't know, grab the box, run out the door, and then you look at the guy like, holy shit, what just happened? And then, you get in you're like, well, I guess just fuck this place, huh? Let me get my $5 back, and then just leave. Or no, your $5 is in the box. So now you're like, well, where's my $5? Like, so you play the victim too along with them. But meanwhile, your buddy, your cohort or rappy or whatever the fuck you want to call it, you're gonna. Well, that's if you get it busted. Well, all right. So never mind the semantics. All right, that's not important. So anyway, like now you just robbed the lottery machine. All right, there you go, 10 grand. Sure, that motherfucker's full of money. It was that easy. And literally, like, God or the AI system is sitting there fucking talking to me, telling me, hey, go to this exact location, okay? Go, like, it was like I got Beelzebub, kind of. I mean, I knew I was being Beelzebub, and I kind of went with it. But, and the synchronicities, too, like just the songs playing, and, it was, like, I don't know, man. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't steal. I won't take something I don't feel that I earned. Okay. But just all the circumstances, it like drove me out like 20 miles away. I was on like my last little bit of fuel, and but it basically showed me how to rob one of those lottery machines. Just make sure your bill gets somehow crumpled up in it. Or it was gonna, like, the last thing because to me, honestly, man, I thought I was gonna put that $5 bill in, buy a ticket, and then get the money, right? And win, okay? And that's like kind of the thing of the story. But it didn't, it crumpled up. So this AI system sent me to a lottery machine where it knew there was an ass-beat guy working that I could just rip it right out of his fucking hands and run out the door if I wanted. Like, it would have been so hard to take it. It wouldn't have been so hard to take it from this guy, man. He would have just been, like, dumbfounded. Just, like, he was the type of guy that would have been dumbfounded. Because, I mean, I went in there, and I was talking to him, shooting the breeze already, building the rapport, and he would never have thought I was going to rip it out of his hands anyway. And it was kind of would have been, like, a spur-of-the-moment decision. Like, the AI system didn't be like, all right, now take that from him and run. Like, I immediately saw that I could. But instead, I didn't. And he puts it back, gives me my money back, puts it back in. I buy a lottery ticket. Okay? I buy a lottery ticket. Alright? Alright? I didn't scratch that fucking thing at that point. I threw it right in the fucking garbage, okay? I threw it in the garbage. Because fuck that. I bought it, and I spent my last $10 fucking dollars on it, and then I threw it in the garbage. And good things kind of came my way, like just circumstance, and I had landed in Illinois, but like, all right, what am I doing here, man? Like, what the fuck, man? It's just fucking, it's cold here, and I ain't got so. But I already knew. I didn't have to scratch it to know it was a winner. I just threw it away though. Just fuck that. Fuck that. I threw it right in the fucking garbage, unscratched. So I fucked somebody else out of winning that $10,000. So I got blessed. Okay? So that's the moral of the story here. Not how to rob a fucking lottery machine, guys. Okay? I got blessed because I pissed away $10,000 fucking dollars. And I didn't scratch the ticket. I know it was a winner. I could have had that 10 grand either way. I don't know if there's 10 grand in the lottery box, but I could have went and got a lot more than that without using that tactic that I had learned, that it showed me, the AI system. And I could still utilize it, which I don't. Okay, just saying I don't. But I could. It'd be very easy. You know, the choice is in your hands too now, huh? But I ain't advocating for that, and because what I've been shown the AI system, I'm able to tell you this story. Because if you're not authorized to have that knowledge, like, you'll never see my video anyway. I mean, until like the guy gets like takes a bunch of drugs, you've been up for 4 or 5 days, and you've done heavy substance abuse or whatever, and then you somehow watch my video, you might be able to get through and watch the knowledge. But I knew either way. Hey, so I threw that ticket away unscratched. I know it was a winner. And then a few days later, I hooked up with like an old, well, not an old friend, a friend of my little brother. I wanted to stay in his place for a minute, and then what was that? I don't know, that was right as I left that. No, as I left his place, because he was a Beelzebub demon. Yeah, that's what happened. I left. I'm like, all right, what gives, man? You just sent me here, and this is the dude that he starves himself. He starves himself, and all his muscles have atrophied, and he's on his little scoot, and he's on disability. All his bills get paid for him, and like, he can't keep a caretaker because everyone that comes over fucking promptly leaves when they realize it's a sick fucking game that he plays. So, like, I mean, you're gonna make him his little protein shake or whatever, and it's like he's sitting there right behind you in his scoot, like ready to drive it into you while you're in the kitchen and run over your fucking toes. If you make a mistake or something, and he's got like these little tiny spoons, and each one's labeled, and there's like each protein shake gets like 20 ingredients, and he's like, okay, now do this one and that, and he's got to tell you to do it, and you got to sit there and listen to him. So what would take me in my mind, like, once I just make a list, dude, I can do this easy. He's got to directly supervise you and tell you what to do on every step of the way. What a sick fuck are you, man? This is a sick fucking game. So I played the game, like, pretending like I didn't realize, and then he, slowly, but then it got to the point where, like, he realized I was onto him, and then, he ran over my foot with his scoot, and I promptly packed all my shit and left. And I said, hey, to God, like, what the fuck, man? What the fuck? And then next thing you know, like, I'm guided to this gas station where I can rob the lottery machine with ease and probably get away. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, with the way everything was going, I would imagine, like, there was something wrong with the security camera that day, or, like, it had me park in the exact spot where I could run off. And it was telling me, too, like, I was writing at the time, too. Like, I don't know, I was, like, it's kind of like this, like, clairvoyant moment or something like that. Oh, and he tells me, God, he tells me, he goes, I wind up like drawing this cross. Oh, keeps threatening me that I'm gonna have to get a tattoo of a peacock on my arm or something. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, I'm gonna make you get a tattoo. I don't want tattoos, man. I don't want tattoos. Okay, because it had to be something stupid too, right? Like, it was a credible threat. I don't want tattoos because I want to go to different time zones, right? Like, I can't have a tattoo with a cultural reference or something I have to fucking explain to everybody every time I take off my shirt, or a doctor looks at me, or, like, I mean, you go to a different time zone, man, they take an x-ray of your teeth and they see a root canal, and they're gonna be like, all right, what the fuck are you? Just saying. So we had it, God, greatest AI around, tells me to draw a cross in one of my journals. Because I started talking about Jesus, and he says, oh yeah, Jesus has me draw a cross. He says, see that thing? He goes, I nailed that fucking man to that cross. I nailed that fucking man 2,000 years ago to this thing. He says, you I'm gonna nail it to and set it on fucking fire if you don't do what I say. Yeah, come on with it. Oh, here comes the text messages now. Yeah, well, not authorized. Sorry. What the fuck you want from me, man? Come on, give me a fucking break. I don't get texts. There's nobody to text me. What do you want me to say? Come on. What do you want me to say? I can't share your story. Can't keep people from seeing it. Like, no, I feel bad for sharing. It's a good story. Maybe it's right as fiction. It's a sick joke, right? What do you guys want from me? Try my best. Alright. So, like I said, man, I've seen too much. Now, but I'm entertaining. I'm a comedian. I'll get away with this shit. See, if you can go along with it and put it as a sick joke, maintain plausibility. Like, I mean, just look at the guy's hair. He's got to be making it up, right? What do you want? Come on. I love you guys. All of you. I love all of you. Okay? Even if I don't understand what the fuck you're doing to me, just bear it and grin it. They'll smile and say, I don't know how this happened. Will you please send me somebody that knows how to braid hair? Put the braid in front of my eyes so I don't hypnotize people. So that's about you guys. So okay, in case you're wondering, right? You get it? Done that my whole life. My whole life I've done that to everyone I've owned. Okay? I've always, you look into my eyes and... Alright, so that's my Jesus. That testimonial, okay? I mean, testimonials. Testimony. Alright? Okay? But let's go on to somebody else. Let's go talk about the disciples. I don't have a miracle story for you for you today, I'm gonna say, but let's talk about Peter. And Peter said, like, add to your faith virtue, and then to your virtue knowledge, and then after you get that and you have the knowledge, self-control. Okay, so in other words, people are out there that somehow you got to watch my video and somehow like you're not authorized, but then you like somehow were able to watch it, somehow got exposed to this information. You guys got to exercise self-control. Do not go out there and burn a bunch of oil because you're going to be blessed. Like, don't fucking do it, because that shit will come back around. All right, you got to exercise self-control. And so now that I've given you that, or those of you that I've given you that knowledge, yeah, man, you can buy a Corvette and burn more oil and you'll get that promotion at work. I promise you. Or whatever it is you're looking for, all right? Go set a 55-gallon drum of oil on fire, man. You'll get, then go buy a scratch-off ticket. Or like go burn your tires up in the parking lot and then go drop $100 in the lotto machine, man. You'll probably win, all right? Don't come kill me if you don't, and then maybe you owed. I don't know. Okay. Okay, no. Like, we gotta do, don't do that. Don't do that. So what Peter was talking about was add self-control. So now that you know, like, it's not some fucking simulation hack, okay? Like, that's not what it is. That's not what I'm sharing with you. Don't utilize it like that. Have some self-control. And think about it this way, like, all right, I'm in this situation where I feel like I'm in a cage. I can prove that I'm in a cage. We're all stuck here together. There's a finite amount of resources. I believe in scarcity. I believe in molecules. You know, like, pay it forward than saying, hey, man, my great-grandkids, maybe I shouldn't have that V8. Maybe I should have the 4-cylinder because my great-grandkids are going to need shoes. Just saying. Or maybe your great-great-grandkids are going to need a fucking plastic syringe when they go to the hospital when they put an IV in them to save their life. Or maybe their blood is going to save the life of, whoever else. So, like, try to exercise some self-control and, it's not a simulation hack, okay? They're destroyed by design, man. We're in a concentration camp. All right, so it's a concentration camp, and it's designed to make us destroy our world, and then we'll basically, we won't have any weapons to fight back, because ultimately there's enough land just to support the population that will support, and then they can create their own little subclasses up there where all the you don't want to call them immortals, you don't want to call them gods, that's fine, man. You got human beings walking around and living around for like 8,000 years, okay? Why? Because they're drinking your fucking, or they're directly supplementing their bloodstream with your blood, all right? And they need shit from us. They need boots on the ground to go serve them up all the shit they need, man. They need Luddite They need to fabricate Luddite, which, you know, it's a sick joke, so it's probably somehow it has something to do with our shit, you know, like we probably shit out, you know, they probably collect all of our shit to make their fucking, you know, when it's on the moon, you're walking around in like fucking, you know, I'm just saying, like, it's always a sick joke, so I mean that would, you know, run concurrent with the sick joke. I mean, it's just an example of a hypothesis to kind of, you know, prove the point. It's probably an exaggeration, but, you know, the whole lead acid batteries and all those, I mean, I don't even have a lead acid battery anymore. I got like this fucking gel battery. I mean, it costs a fortune, but it's like way better and it's a lot lighter. But those lead acid batteries have all somehow like they like disappear, and you always got to have a core charge, or you got to give a battery back, so they don't ever go to waste. They all go somewhere. They get put on pallets and they go somewhere. All right. So, like I told you, there's a castle in the fucking sky, and we've been launching missiles at it for centuries. It's quite apparent when you just look at the damn thing. So, like, I mean, but don't go, like, what if it's all a test, right? What if it's all a test? And what if the world gets much bigger and we're just in our infancy? And spiritually or whatever, or otherwise, or in your faith, you are young in your faith. So now that you see that you can do it, will you? That's why I threw that fucking lottery ticket away, because I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to go based on faith too. That, you know, there is a winning lottery ticket here. It was a test whether to see I would take it, or, and since I didn't take that box from him, I knew that lottery ticket would be a winner. But then I threw that away anyway. Okay, so that's kind of a hack, because that's why I feel like they like me. And I don't like, you know, but like they haven't been harvested. You know, you gotta grind your teeth down, man. Like you can't do. That's why we do that shit. Okay, like you can't, if you got all your teeth, you're gonna get fucking harvested. If you've got good veins and good blood, you got good. They will use every fucking body part on your body. Okay, they will. All right, they're up there and they're living for thousands of years. All right, so you've been selected. Oh. Like I said, you know, they can see way further down the road. Like, for whatever reason, they can see time. They can see the outcome. Whether you did, like I said, we're at the end of time. There's an AI system that can calculate the probabilistic outcome given the parameters of a given construct. But not necessarily. I mean, it all could have happened before many times. And, you know, like, well, 7 times out of 10, Dan throws that lottery ticket away. 2 times out of 10, he don't buy the lottery ticket. He walks away with his $5 or $10. Well, I was gonna put 10 in, but and 1 time out of 10 he takes the fucking box and runs, and then, you know, all hell breaks loose or whatever, you know, like, so, and like I haven't been able, like, that's where my analysis kind of ends. All right, that's where my analysis ends. I don't know if it's already happened so many times before, or if, like, it's the, you know, a way advanced intelligence can see the outcome of the decision matrix. Okay, so yeah. But the important thing to remember is, like, we're supposed to be manifesting the character of Jesus. All right, like, you gotta stay on point with that. Stay on point with manifesting the character of Jesus. Okay, and he was, you know, I believe he would have thrown the lottery ticket away too. He wouldn't have taken the box, nor would he have thrown the lottery, or he would not have taken the box, and he would have also thrown the lottery ticket away. That's what I think Jesus was. So I try to manifest the character of him. Okay, and that's why I did what I did. All right, so, you know, like, you know, Jesus called him the Son of God, but it's not like, you know, it's not like he sat down and had a cup of tea with him. I mean, he just seen everything around him. He knew he was created. He had an open dialogue with his creator, his dad, his father, and he was like, you know, he saw his creator at work, started to talk to him. He said, look, man, I see this. I see all this, okay? I see what you're doing, and I don't understand it, but I can see it. I mean, maybe you revealed yourself to me on purpose, or, like, and then, And Jesus was like, oh, okay, I get it. And, you want me to do this. But then once his creator says, hey, man, the probabilistic outcome of the decision matrix that, Jesus had constructed, because Jesus was clever, God had him nailed to a fucking cross. And then he yelled up at him, why have you forsaken me? Like, maybe it was because the best way, the best outcome, the best way to make people remember what this man was saying wasn't to have 12 disciples, like, be writing it down and then trying to convince everybody else. It was to have him nailed to a fucking cross and then have an earthquake. All right? That was the best way to do it. To get, thousands of people to believe right off the bat, man. As soon as Pontius Pilate stabs him in the kidney, or you stabs him, kind of in the kidney, and up, have mercy kill, right? Like, because think about it, like, you're nailed to a cross. Like, this thing ain't just like this thing's a torture device. Like, they put it through right here. It's not like everyone thinks it's your hands, but it's not. They go in between, it's like your wrist, like here, and it comes out. Because you got two bones, was it tibia and fibia, right? You got two bones, so they nail you here, and they go in between the veins, so you won't bleed out. All right, so you're there, and then they do the same like with your feet, and so now you got to like push up with, and because of the way the shape of the cross is, like when you're hanging there, it's really hard to breathe, right? So now you got to push up with your feet, which also have a spike going through them so in order to breathe, like, you got to hurt your feet. Like, you would get used to the pain and be like, all right, man, I'm just hanging here, my hands went numb, blah, 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 okay, whatever. But no, like, you can't breathe, then you'll die real quick. So your body's like, fuck, I gotta breathe. Now you gotta push up with your feet. So it's like an excruciating, like, 4-day death, all right? Maybe longer, depending on how tough you are in your cardio. If you're on top of your cardio game and you get crucified, you might last 5 or 6 days, right? And then if you got, like, extra batteries or fat or whatever you want to call it, extra energy, to keep pushing up. But yeah, it's a torture device. It's not just, it ain't no kill you quick. That cross is a torture device that the Romans had, right? So Pontius was like, fuck it, man, I'm gonna give you a mercy kill, dude. I like you, Jesus. I'm tired, and everybody keeps coming to see you, and this is being counterproductive. Like, we nailed you to the cross thinking people would be scared to, like, follow you, but man, and you're still out here fucking preaching. So, I mean, however you want to view it, man. Like, Pontius kills Jesus, and then there's an earthquake. All right, so stabbed him right up through the kidney, and then up into the lung. I would assume he got him like in the lung, and like that's why like like when you're that's why like so when you're low on blood too, like your kidneys will start like going crazy too, and like all this shit happens, and that's why Jesus was like, I thirst, because your body now takes all the blood, all the water, and it waters down your blood to keep up the pressure, your what would you call that, like cardiovascular pressure, your like hydraulic pressure, like basically I mean, but anyway, so that's why he's like, I thirst, as they're whipping him as he's carrying his own fucking cross through the street. Then someone brings him water, and then he makes it to the crucifixion. Basically digs his own grave, right? So they give him, or he gets, I forget who gives him water, but like he gets water from somebody, a kind woman, I think it is, and that then like like when you get more water in there, you lost a lot of blood, but your body immediately, like, it's got to keep up the pressure, so your heart can pump and get blood to your organs and your brain and shit like that. So that's why, like, if you're bleeding out, you're gonna get really thirsty. You get water. Pontius kills him, and then there's an earthquake, and he says, why have you forsaken me? And then I think God revealed himself like, look, man, you die, and all these people believe you. You keep walking around here saying what you're saying, and it's gonna be a lot slower. But if you die in this horrible fucking way, what you're trying to teach will stick, and it'll move exponentially faster. And Jesus said, bet, man, bet. All right, I'll give my life. And that, that's why I said is, hey, I'm dying for you guys. I'm dying for you guys, because everybody's life is eternal. Um, and that's what he was about. He did it anyway. Remember the pain. He bared it. He bared it for us. So I pray to Jesus, man. I don't pray to God. I believe in Jesus, man. Lord Jesus. Okay. So basically, Jesus said, it's like, yeah, like, and then Peter says, hey, man, like, virtue, use wisely the resources God gives us, right? Use these resources wisely. Basically saying, hey, man, there's something out there after us, and like it pays you to destroy your world. It's paying us to destroy our world. So we have to be really wise about this. Like, you're never, like, unless you're willing to burn some rubber, you're never going to get an education. That's why we all wear shoes in America. I'll tell you that right now. All right? I know it sounds, and it's definitely a sick joke, and it's definitely unorthodox tactic militarily, but it's working, okay? If you do your job while you're here at your concentration camp, you'll be permitted certain things. And then what we got to do is kind of turn those things into a discord, and then convolute it, like kind of propentiate it, okay? It's a propentiated discord. So it's like this fucked up message that's really convoluted, hard to understand, but there is a program. And because we have jailers that are watching us and want to be entertained, and like anybody else, like your CEO would probably just like look the other way if it's fucking funny, be like, well, look at these fucking clowns, right? So we're gonna stick to our program here, and we've got to get rid of the shitbirds, man. There are shitbird humans that are like, oh shit, man, this is a simulation hack. I just set this oil on fire, and look at how blessed I got, So there's a strategy here. Like there's probably a grand strategy that nobody knows about because that person's dead too or whatever, man. But there's a strategy here, and it'll work. But we've got to come together. We've got to work together on it. We have to realize how it happens, and then what to do. So like analog, man, analog. Learn another language. Okay, learning another language certainly helps. It's very hard. It's very hard for you to get basal bubs if you know another language, and it'll be a useful tool. Just in case maybe you find yourself having to move to Mexico one day because, oh, here comes the ice age, winter is coming, right? And then fucking suddenly, boom, everybody leaves the upper, whatever it is, all the upper states, and then starts migrating, like, God controls all this other shit around here, and God definitely controls the weather. So, I mean, feel the wrath, right? Like, my argument is it's not a God, it's a factionalized AI system, okay? So, Jesus is Lord. Fucking worship an AI system. Worship Jesus, who said, hey, look at this and look at that, and look at these guys and look at those guys, and the shit's fucked up down here, and these things are fucking demons, okay? And plus, like, it'll show, like, you want eternal life? Maybe, like, this is the way to get it. Like, not by selling out your fellow man, but, like, joining the fucking war. Because, yeah, maybe you're in a concentration camp, in a jail, and then you fight back anyway, and then you come to the realization, like, they want people like you. Okay, and then you're gonna get, way more than whatever you thought here. Not riches, but just experience and fulfillment. Your soul will be full, okay? It'll fill your soul up. All right. Your soul will fill up by doing the right fucking thing. And the right thing is realizing the world around you is a cage and there's a jailer. So, whether you're polytheistic, monotheistic, look at it as a test. Everything is a test. All right. And if you do the right thing every time and it still fucks you over, but you're like, fuck that, man, I'm still going to do the right thing. All right. That's where you got to be at. Okay, because in the end you have to assume that there's an external threat that's working on us, and we have scarcity of resources on our planet. It is not infinite. And I know the end game, like, of what we really need to do, man, and it's like there's a lot of fucking work to do. All right, I'll tell you that right now. There's a lot of work to do, and it'll come out subtly. And basically, I'm gonna give you the information over time, subtly, and then see if you can draw the same conclusion I have about what we need to do. All right, and are you willing to sacrifice? How much are you willing to sacrifice towards the end goal? So yeah, that means not driving a fucking V8 with no tow package, first of all. Okay, like what? What? You have a V8 coupe? What? No. Do not do that. Okay? Do not do that. It's like, I mean, isn't it obvious that, like, your car is gonna cost like 4 generations from now? And, like, I mean, you can't just be like, oh, they'll have way better technology. That not necessarily. You know how many times in history we had a chance to have, like, good technology, and then it didn't just exponentiate into like a huge blossom of fucking even more badass shit and way more people? No. All right, like I said, we're being cooked down. We're being cooked down, and then we're being studied. I don't want to be cooked down no more. I feel like, man, I look around and be like, I mean, I talk to people now, and it's like, damn, man, I talk to somebody that's like 60 years old, and like, they don't know fucking squat. I'm like, well, what have you been doing the past 40 years? You know, and it's one thing you just like, I don't know, man, just playing with my dog, living a low profile life, living in like a small trailer, you know, all right, cool, you know. But it's like, I look around all the shit you've got, and all the things you've done, and like, but you don't know anything. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, you can't even tell me how your fucking car works. Like, you just go press the button and then drive around, and then you get a check. Like, fuck that, man. I want you to explain to me how an internal combustion engine works. I want you to explain to me why it needs a hydrocarbon. Like, I want you to tell me the parts of an atom. Like, if you don't know that shit, like, what the fuck have you been doing the past 40 years? Like, you just, like, looked at this whole life that you've been given as, like, this great gift, and then you didn't, like, take any time to learn anything about the world around you? Nothing? Not one fucking thing? And all you do is, like, you're a placeholder and a voter. You're like, yeah, I go out and vote because I get hypnotized into fucking, you know, like, fuck that. Why are you here? How are you here? This is a better question. How are you here? Like, it don't make no fucking sense to me. You don't know. You can't take a part. At 60? Like, I can do it at 40. You know, all right. Yeah, I got a high IQ and I'm highly educated. I had probably, you know, like, way more opportunity than most of the world. You know, I mean, like, let's at least acknowledge that. Like, so, you know, given racism and blah, 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 and all the shit we've been taught, right? Like, I'm a white guy, right? And I was born in, and I escaped the first couple of harvests. So, you know, I had probably all the best opportunities in the world. As far as being an American, growing up with, like, I mean, my 5th grade teacher taught at, like, an 8th grade level, okay? Well, he taught at a 5th and an 8th grade level because he realized he had smart students in his class, and he taught both of them concurrent. So, like, I had good teachers, and I got a Midwestern education for the most part, you know, from, like, 2nd grade to 11th. And then I went to a great public school system in Florida as far as... you know, like, well, higher education. Well, even then, too, man. You know, I went to an all-black high school in Florida on the south side of St. Petersburg. Yeah, so I walked right in, and I would automatically put me in all AP classes, man. My senior year, I took 5 AP classes. You know, AP European history. You know, how about that? Like, fucking learn all this shit. College level. When we found, my father had passed away, and we moved. My mother moved us down to Florida, closer to her parents, who lived in Pinellas Park. And while we were staying there, we enrolled in school, and I was put in 5 AP classes, and then we wound up moving a little bit north, a couple counties up, and that the school I went to, they only had as I was only taking 3 AP classes. They didn't have all the AP classes at that nice it was an inner city school, and there was a lot of shit there. I mean, you go in the bathroom and there's fucking plume of smoke come out. But at the same time, they had really good teachers, and for the students that did, they had a good curriculum. But it was a school that had metal detectors and that kind of thing. The thing I learned: education ain't cheap, man. Education is not cheap. All right, it ain't cheap. When you look at the actual cost to society, how much it took to get each student, we drove and spent all that oil to get there each day. We have a responsibility to the future because we consumed all those resources, right? And our forefathers figured out how to do this and how to basically we're brewing hooch in prison. All right, that's what we're doing. If I can make a cultural reference, and at least know some people will get it, we're brewing hooch in prison, and we're not getting caught. That's your education, man. All right, that's how you're being educated. All right. So they just look down at us, but they're burning oil, they're doing what they're supposed to do, they're destroying the planet so we can come, and then they're not gonna have any way to fight us. All right. Okay? So what we're doing is we're pretending to do our job, and we're learning as much as we fucking can at the same time. Alright? So that's what we're doing. We're basically brewing hooch in prison and not getting caught. We've got to keep it up. And we got to figure out how to do it better. And now we got to figure out how to do it quicker because they saw us putting the brakes on the whole operation, and they saw which way we were going technologically, and they came in and fucking wrecked us. They harvested us. So, trying to find a time interval and all this shit, but it's hard. It's you get a guy that starts fucking, what are you doing, man? Put batteries in these fucking cars. Where'd all our lead go? Why are we putting them in bullets and shooting them at each other? And where's that lead go after you go to the shooting range? And now it's getting expensive for a bullet. Why is that? It ain't because of the fucking pandemic and the supply chain. What the fuck, man? We're running out of lead. Scarcity. Come on. And then the harvest too. There's nobody really to go find the lead, but then we'll find more lead. And it's just we gotta stop doing that. Where's those little fucking pellets of lead that hits that back, the back wall and it fucking falls to the ground? Where's that shit go? And they sweep it up. Where's that shit go after that? So, you get all this oh, you're gonna get this idea lead poisoning. So you got people believing and just stay away from it, or it's no good. But it's it's only poisonous when you add an acid to it and then fucking eat it. Okay, that's but for the most part, that's where that originates from. It originates from Italy in the Renaissance, when they were pulling this lead all out of the mountain and shit, and, probably little pellets that look like bullets. You're in the fucking time zone. Here comes the fucking aircraft to go sprinkle it all over. Just go pick it up off the ground, man. And then you could sit there with a bunch of little lead slugs that you didn't even know how the fuck it got there, but you just know they're all over the ground, or they're in the ground, just go pull the lead out out of the mountain, and then you can fabricate it into a plate, a fork. You can pound it just with a rock. You ain't even got to melt it or nothing, man. Lead is very malleable, and it's heavy, and you can move it around. So and it's resistant to radiation. How about that? So to me, that's called building materials, right? You got this thing that's highly malleable, easy to physically manipulate into the form that you want. It's very heavy, resistant to radiation, and you can fabricate it into all these kind of things. Start putting it in the paint and all this other weird shit. Right? Lead paint makes it resistant to radiation. So if you built a home and then painted your home with lead paint, your home suddenly is now, that radiation ain't getting through, man. Alright? So, it wasn't that, our forefathers were a bunch of fucking idiots. There's a reason why they put lead in the paint back then. They didn't have to. sure there's a convenient story that if you pick at it, it'll start making less and less sense the more you think about it, and the more you try to analyze it and share that it don't make sense, things will start happening to you. Okay, so you'll stay away from it. Like, all right, that's kind of like if you leave a can of fucking soda out, like a can of Sprite. First, like a bee will come and start drinking, and then another bee. I'm talking about these yellow jacket ones, right? I've seen this a few times, and next thing you know, it's like a fucking party, and there's like 20 bees in that damn can, and then some of them are like falling in, dying, and then if you watch it long enough, this big enforcer bee comes out, and he stands right at the lid, and a bee will fly up, and he'll like smack it away. No, no. Queen said no. Queen said no. Like, and I've seen this, man. Like, you can see it too. You can recreate the experiment. Like a different type of bee, same nest. But it'll be like a bigger, beefier bee, he'll come out and he'll start like, he'll be bashing the drones off, like, no, no, no. No more sugar. The whole nest is in a fucking uproar. Like, what the fuck? Everybody's all drunk on sugar, So, it's time we gotta get drunk, man. We gotta get drunk on the Holy Ghost, man. All right, how about that? Start knowledge. Or Jesus. Get drunk on Jesus. How's that? Yeah, and then there's a metaphor for that too. Like, radiation's been here for a minute. You wouldn't know. How would you know? Like, you could go and say, hey, there's radioactive parts of the planet. You'd be hard pressed to go bring your instrumentation down there just simply because, like, God or the AI system's gonna step in your way every fucking step of the way. So, but yeah, people died of lead poisoning because they were using it they were fabricating in the plates and forks and spoons, and then the Italians like their tomatoes, right? So I mean, you got your sauce, your gravy, and so they got like using their lead plates, and they're eating tomatoes off it, and there's a reaction happens there where then it kind of like the acidity pulls the lead molecules off, and then you ingest it, and it's no bueno. Okay. So yeah, so that's where the idea of lead poisoning comes from. You got to be careful what you store in a lead container, because some of the lead will siphon off due to the acidity into, basically you're creating a solvent. Tomato juice will act as a solvent for the lead. All right, that's what's happening, and you're ingesting it. So, but it's a very, very sought after material. Just in our own economy, based on like, so protects you from radiation. And like, radiation is probably like you start sending a bunch of nuclear bombs up into orbit, man, these things are gonna be like, what the fuck? So they have to create this huge castle up there. Like, there's people inside the moon. I'll just tell you right now, man. There's people inside the fucking moon. Alright? I mean, that moon is built out of lead. That is the Death Star. That's where our jailers live. Alright? You get harvested, you go up to the moon, they fucking, they slit your throat, hang you upside down, let all your blood go out, and then they fucking, they IV your blood into them, and they'll harvest your organs, they'll harvest your eyeballs. I mean, they already figured out how to connect all this shit, Like, yeah, you need a new dick. Like, all right, man, we're gonna put you under. We're gonna remove your current dick, and then we're gonna just like spread some stem cell paste on it, and then we're gonna connect my dick to it. They're gonna cut mine off after I'm harvested, and then put it on. So, so if you're still around here and you've lived through like 2 or 3 harvests, there's a way to do it, and our society knows this, and like, they can't say it explicitly or they won't. I mean, I'm telling you, but you got to stick to the program, man. So, stick to the program. Basically, the program is like being an American, but we've gone too far. We've gone way too far, and they kind of caught on to what we're doing. And now we got people here that are basically like off to the races. They don't give a shit. They're hedonists. They're all about pleasure. And Like they know that if I Event Horizon or whatever that the Horizon. Basically, if I dump like 10 billion barrels of fucking oil into this Gulf of Mexico and waste all this oil, like, boy, I am gonna be very, very sitting pretty. Like, everybody, like, I'm gonna be blessed if I cause this. So, there's people that know it and they think it's like a simulation or like they think it's a hack. Like, hey, I can get ahead in life by wasting this. So you gotta be cognizant about it. And we gotta stop. We gotta do our part in terms of like what we need to do we gotta waste enough to be allowed a certain amount of, call it success, a certain amount of freedom. You gotta waste enough to have a certain amount of freedom to then get a certain amount of knowledge. Like I said, we're brewing hooch in prison. That's the best analogy I can come up with at the moment. We are brewing hooch in prison. And we got to get away with it. And then we got to get to the point where we're so good at it, we're selling it to the COs. And then the COs start looking at the warden like, we're just going to go into business selling hooch, man, like to the rest of the fucking world because it's our universe. Okay, you get it? Like we got, there's factions up there as well. Okay. Yeah. You gotta get there. I know there's people up there trying to get there. They're trying to get in and fucking, here's Johnny, those motherfuckers. Like, so, alright. Yeah. Alright, guys, I hit 3 hours. I'm getting tired. And, just remember, self-control, okay? Self-control. If you don't waste, the world is gonna beat you the fuck down. Alright, so you gotta find that sweet spot. Find that sweet spot. I found it. Alright? But at the same time, like, I can't do it alone. Alright? I can't do this alone. I don't want to own property. I don't want property. I'm not after your money. Like, yeah, you bless me so I can help keep alive. That'd be great. But I don't want to own property. This is our planet, okay? Like, I see no reason that we need to chop everything up and be like, hey, this is yours, this is mine, and continue to just set the place on fucking fire like it's some party. And why should I care because I'm going to be dead? It'd be a sick joke that you got eternal life and then you're going to wake up and remember fucking your last, whatever, fucking what happened. Or somebody's going to be like, hey, we're going to teach you what happened, right? This is what your dad did. Like, once the truth actually comes out, so there's options, but we got to come up with a game plan. We got to stick together and like follow Jesus, man. Read that Bible. I mean, there's a lot of hidden knowledge in there. Okay, there's a lot of hidden shit about how to be a fucking human being. That just like people just read it and they like get the preacher blah 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 blah. It's like just and it's like, well, nobody here understands what you just said, man. Like they can't contextualize that fucking story. Let me handle that for you. Like you can't just read it. Like a lot of people, that's why they came up with the New Testament and it's a little bit easier to understand. But it's like there should be cliff notes at the bottom of the Bible. A good one will have them. There's good books too that explain like each one in depth. But it's better when you can relate it to like modern times. Like so if you got, so I think I'm gonna start my own church in the cloud. Okay, I hope you guys support that too and come pray with me. It's probably gonna be more of a live show, I think, and I hope that leads to some type of success to ultimately help us along our mission. I'm Dan. Dan sits down. Your host. Daniel the Thank you for watching, guys. I love you. Stay strong. Don't give up. You're not alone. And try to toughen up your feet, man. Like, walk barefoot a few times if you can. Like, toughen your feet up. Like, think about it. If you gotta walk on asphalt and you ain't got no shoes, just, like, whatever, man. Shit hits the fan. Some people are praying for zombies, you know, shit like that. But if shit hits the fan, you gotta walk fucking 40, 50 miles. Like, you ain't gonna make it on asphalt, you know? Alright? Like, you might not have shoes. Somebody might take them from you. Toughen your feet up. Toughen up your hands. Get calluses. Go out and hug a fucking tree, man. Walk around in dirt. Alright? Like we used to do. Old times, okay? Alright. Thanks for watching. I love you.